Hey, it is the Giant Bombcast for Tuesday, April the 27th, 2021. I am Brad Shoemaker. He's Jeff Gersman.
It's true.
He's Danny O'Dwyer.
Hi.
He's Jan Ochoa.
That's me.
Running the boards over there.
Yep. Got a skateboard right there, just in case we need to get out of here.
What are you gonna? Where are your trucks? I'm not seeing any.
I keep them real loose, Brad.
Okay, I was gonna say I'm not seeing a lot of mobility on that board.
It's a hoverboard. Don't ask.
Oh wow.
Yep.
Wait, no, I have the parents. The parents groups banned those. They won't let you sell them. Everybody knows that. Hoverboards are real, you know.
I mean,
Fuck parents.
Exactly. After Elon hosted SNL, anything is back on board, baby.
Wait, did that happen? I thought that was to happen.
No, it's
yet to happen.
It's yet to happen.
Okay.
There's still time.
In my mind, it's already
to save ourselves from the future.
Still time for society to pull up.
Yeah,
but
maybe that's a use for his weird underground tunnel thing. You could skateboard around. Is it fully circular?
I don't know.
Some of the best levels in Skate 3 were the tunnels you could just kind of go the whole way around on. Go ham.
I thought you were saying dig under the stage at SNL and just cause the whole thing to fall into the earth. But yeah, that's either way.
Pop up and do a kickflip.
Now, what would happen if you were to hoverboard across the top of that thing?
It'd still catch on fire.
Gravity is still gravity, so I think hoverboarding upside down is probably something that'd be kind of.
With a hoverboard, is it just hovering, or is it using some anti-grav tech there?
I don't know.
So I think you have to decide if it, in your fantasy world, is it anti-gravity or is it some kind of maglev thing that can only hover on metal surfaces?
How anime am I allowed to get in my fantasy world?
It's your fantasy.
Look, this is still America, right? So not at all.
We're not here to kink shame. You fantasize in whatever way you see fit.
Yeah.
Anybody?
Is there any game that have hoverboards in them or any?
Airblade, baby, Airblade for the PS2. One of my favorite games. Because I got it.
I was gonna say a little game called Jack 2.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
In which you jack hoverboards.
Excuse me.
From other people. The second Jack is a straight up Grand Theft Auto ripoff. It was this bizarre thing where the first Jack and Daxter is a Mario 64-esque, colorful cutesy platformer.
Yeah.
And then Jack 2 came out and they gave him a goatee and they turned it into Grand Theft Auto.
I think I can't. You could be lying to me right now.
Oh, wow. No, man, dude. It was scandalous.
Yeah.
It was scandalous.
Dark Jack is very divisive.
They Dark Jack, they straight up gave him a fucking goatee and sunglasses, and you would jack people off of their hover cars, and it was also a third-person shooter.
They gave him a gun in the second one, right?
Yes, all kinds of guns. Actually, it was very much that. I really liked Jack 2 when it came out. I suspect it does not hold up in the slightest, but.
And then what was after that? What was the
Jack,
just the
Jack
third one went
3,
back to?
Jack 3, which was kind of more of that, except it was in the desert and you had a big dune buggy, so it was a lot more of off-roading, but it was still dark. Jack.
And then there was Jack X Combat Racing, right?
Jack X Combat Racing, yes. There was also that. Oh man, I should check out Jack 2 again one of these days.
I think I slept on that whole series. I think
I've said it before. You have to choose. Everyone had to choose early on if you were a Ratchet guy or a Jack guy.
Yep,
and
that is absolutely true. And I, for better or worse, somehow ended up with Jack and Daxter.
Neither of these franchise names have time has not been kind to them.
Well, hey, they're holding a state of play in 2 days about the new Ratchet game. Let me know when a new Jack is on the way.
We're fully in playable cartoon mode. I know we say that every single time one of these games comes out, but whoa, let's try
man. This PlayStation 2, it's like a Pixar movie you can hold in your hands. It's crazy.
That's right. God, I was watching the Space World 2000 demo footage over the weekend with 128 Marios. Remember that?
Yeah, that's a lot of Marios. Oh man, I'm trying to. I saw this. It's not exactly new, but I wanted to get one. Here it is, Looking Glass Factory. They're making a portrait-sized holographic display that you can set next to your PC, and it will just put holograms up on it, that are functional and and useful.
It's like random ones.
Well, no, you load it with whatever you want, and
Dude, what?
Photos you take with your iPhone, because of its depth camera, will come right onto it and work as a hologram. And there was footage out there of someone using it to play Doom, which of course. Wow. But this finally means that there might finally be a good way to play Time Traveler.
Time Traveler.
The Sega hologram Laserdisc game, fighting-ish game. Maybe not Laserdisc, but like a way to finally enjoy that quality product.
Yes,
the way in a way that it was maybe intended to be seen.
Classic arcade title. High quality video game for sure.
That's it's lookingglassfactory.com if people want to see this thing. It's it looks fucking cool, and it's not super expensive. And what if I bought a hologram picture frame?
Oh, it's a frame. I see. Okay, it doesn't just I see. Okay.
Yes. So it's it's like a digital picture frame, but also a hologram.
Oh, I can have Tupac with me at all times.
Yeah, finally. Instead of just having him in here.
Yeah.
Along with Shock G now. Jesus Christ. Terrible.
Oh, yes. Rough times in the hip hop world. R.I.P.
Absolutely.
Don't play Time Traveler. Not a good game.
How does it play?
It's shot on video, like it's actual actors, but it's just a 2-bit Dragon's Lair knockoff. It is full on just like watch the footage and hit left or right on the joystick at the right time or you die.
And did you have to wear glasses, or was this an arcade? Like,
it was an arcade. So Sega made a big holographic
worked.
display, and it just kind of worked. So there were two. There's Time Travel. I'm sorry. I was thinking about Holocene, which is a fighting game made with the same technology.
Man.
And it is not Dragon's Lair. It is a little more active than that, but also it sucks so much.
Not a good game.
It's so bad.
Strong
you can play it in MAME if you want to just see the gameplay of it. But
I mean, divorced from
that ain't a
the like
hologram.
the projection gimmick, it's like I can't imagine wanting anything to do with that game.
Yeah, totally ass. Like absolute ass.
Yeah,
120%.
I'm back on board.
It's Dragon's Lair, but way worse.
What if I had a big holographic ass that just showed on this thing all the time, and then under it just said Holocene in stores now?
Was it set in a coliseum? Like was that what the gimmick was, or the story?
I think for
setting?
it to work, it couldn't really have much of a background because the way the holographic projector worked, it was just like two actors standing in space, sort of. And so there might have been like pillars on opposite sides or something, but there was like a very minimal background, if I remember right. And it sucks. You can play it on a monitor if you want to emulate it. And I recommend you do that for about 15, 20 seconds just to go like, man, this is terrible. And they should make a movie out of it because I think all fighting games shot with digitized actors deserve to be turned into film.
Yeah.
I can't disagree with that.
Yeah.
Speaking of fighting games and film,
would
you
see
recommend
this Street Fighter? You see this Jean-Claude Van Damme? Guys everywhere.
Right now,
Time Cop.
It's really going places.
Kylie Minogue.
Yes. Would you
Perfect
recommend? Would you recommend that someone play Time Traveler for 110 minutes, or spend that time instead watching the new major motion picture Mortal Kombat? But maybe an unfair comparison.
The Mortal Kombat movie is good.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
It's
I
okay.
agree.
It is fine. Yeah.
I'm waiting for someone else to shoot first here.
Everybody's like waiting for somebody to make their move. I was not expecting this movie to be as divisive as it is. Like
the games are way better.
Yes.
The story in the games, the cinematics in the games, all of that other stuff is way better than Mortal Kombat the movie. And so
the new
in
one,
that context, the new one, yes, the new one.
I almost watched the 1995 classic over the weekend, and I kind of wish I had, because just as a point of comparison. But
it's not one of those movies. It's
okay.
It's like it's like that movie. I feel like was taking the source material like serious in the wrong way. Like it was it really cared about its story. I feel like this one doesn't really care about the lore, but more cares about the fandom,
like the
more.
memes.
Yeah,
It feels like a pastiche. Like it feels like someone looked at the first handful of Mortal Kombat games and said, "Let's pluck. Okay, invading Earth instead of having a tournament. Let's do that. And just like plucking different parts that they seemed to like from around the first handful of Mortal Kombat games and built a story out of that. And I think that's fine. Like, I guess like that's the thing. I don't think it's super faithful to the Mortal Kombat franchise. I think they're just like, hey, we got some characters and we're gonna come up with one new one so the audience has a stand-in for them who goes like, what do you mean? What's a Mortal Kombat? Someone on screen can say that credibly. And that's the movie they made. Like it's super light on story. It feels like it kind of moves in a way, but also nothing happens. It's a weird thing of like the fighters don't have powers. So it's like part of it is we've got to assemble Earth's warriors, and all of Earth's warriors have a dragon birthmark or some kind of dragon symbol, the fucking dragon symbol burned into them somewhere, and that's how you know that they will awaken someday with powers, hopefully.
But it's like money in the bank. If you kill the person with it, you get it.
You get it. Yes.
What?
Yeah.
Yes.
Also, does that happen in this movie? Do they gain
Yes.
powers by the end of this movie?
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
One of the
And-
powers is arms.
Yeah.
Jacked robot arms.
How convenient
Yes.
for him.
Wait, do his arms turn into robot arms?
No.
No.
Turn from
Okay.
worse robot arms into better
good
robot
arms.
Yeah.
He's got bad robot arms, and then they transform as he's going into good robot arms, and
Okay,
it's just
I-
kind of
Shouts
to see
out
this
to the
movie.
Shaolin monks, though, for having the technology to begin with for even shitty robot arms.
Yeah,
I know,
the
right?
Steampunk
Like,
arms
where
were
do they-
cool.
where do they fucking find that shit? Like that's crazy.
Wait, did Jax get his arms from the Lin Kuei or something?
No, he gets them in Raiden's temple.
Of course.
I guess I want to sidestep around some stuff instead, because there are plot points to it that if people are going to watch it, that it's fun. I think
Fun.
I like it.
Fun.
It's
I liked
fun.
it. Yeah.
I like Cabal is a really
Yeah.
good character.
I was surprised.
It's rated R, and just everyone is cursing all the time. Like they're not fucking around. Like there are recognizable fatalities in the game. I think that anytime they turn to any kind of lingo and any type of like reference to the game, like as they're walking into the fight pit and Kung Lao's like, well, the only way to test your might is and you're just like, fucking shut up. Just stop.
Yeah.
This isn't fun. That's not fun. That's not a fun thing to do.
I like this.
It's just corny.
There were a ton of those moments of like, hey, they said the thing. They said Boraicho.
It is, yes, yeah, and multiple references to the era of Mortal Kombat that you don't necessarily want, but
Wait, you mean like the PS2, Xbox, GameCube era?
I'll include
The
four in that as well.
Four
to
to
the 4 to 7,
let's say.
the 4 to 7
Yes.
range is
Yes.
referenced both
the-
in on-screen characters. Okay, look, if you're going to do
Wait, are we talking
fatalities
about
on
like
characters,
Onaga the Dragon King or something?
no, but
Okay.
I believe the Kamidogu, the fucking medallion, is in a scene, is a throwaway kind of gimmick. So they put Nitara and Reiko in this thing.
Okay.
Everyone's favorite. But also think about it from this point of view. If you're going to have an R-rated Mortal Kombat movie and people want to see fatalities, you need some dumb motherfuckers to eliminate. Like it's kind of
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
and
When
I think
when they
that
turned
that
up-
works out well.
When they turned up, I kind of got the sense of the what was it, the blue guy in Star Trek or something? Where you're kind of like, oh yeah, you're not coming back from the away mission later.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some of those references. There's one where they do where Kung Lao just keeps sweeping Kano, and he eventually jumps, but jumps too early and then gets swept again. I was like, sure. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
That reminds me of playing with my
Wait,
big brother.
Are the fights like shot like the match from the game or something?
No.
Okay.
No.
This is not the Doom with its first person perspective sequence
No.
thing. Okay.
Maybe this was just me and my partner, but in the beginning, the original character they introduced for this film has a family that they show at the beginning of the movie after the first sequence. And for some reason, I thought the woman he was talking to was his mom, and that the little girl was his little sister.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes,
And then,
there's like he looks too young for the role.
Yes, and then like his supposed wife looks a little older, and then when they kissed, and then it freaked me out because I was like, oh, that's the Mortal Kombat they want to play.
Yeah.
That was a stunt guy casting, right? That was because he was not. Some of the characters were decent with like some. I mean, the dialogue in this movie is like atrocious, but like some of it, you got away with it. Like, you know, Sonya's character, I thought her actor, she was good, but the dialogue was bad. Kano, I thought, was funny. He kind of like added a bit of spark to it, but the main guy was just like super cipher, dry,
he's really
dialogue.
flat. Yeah, he's really flat. But like he's also given the role of being like, I just want to protect my family. Like he's maybe given some of the dumbest dialogue in the movie also. So I thought that stuff was fine. I think where they end up with him by the end and when his power is revealed, which I guess I won't get into too much, except to say like they give him a fucking tonfa or whatever, and I was like, oh, is he soccer? What's going on? And no, but give him a nightstick, literally. I think that his character is bad, and the idea that that movie ends in such a way that like he will be back is maybe not what I was hoping for. But like also, whatever. It's that movie's both longer and shorter than it seems. Like looking at the runtime, I was like, oh, I thought this was going to be like 87 minutes in and out, and it's not. But it really just kind of cooks because not a lot happens and there's just fighting. And I think the fights are pretty good. It's fine. There's like the more stuff you could very easily pick it apart, and I think there's some really dumb stuff with like they open with a Scorpion and Sub-Zero kind of ancient history fight.
That was great. I love that. That whole opening 10 minutes was super strong.
The thing I learned from that 10 minutes is that I don't do as well with man's family gets it stuff the way anymore. So I was like, oh, ooh,
yeah.
Oh, this also, baby though.
It also makes Sub-Zero's powers a little bit more fucked up than how it is in the games when you think about the implications of what Sub-Zero's able to do.
Yeah, they sat down and said like, well, if you could just fucking ice shit over, like, yeah, you could freeze someone, but you could also freeze someone. And yeah, there's some cool effects. Like they paint Sub-Zero as like the major.
If the effects work is good, because that's like the one thing when I increasingly am of the mind that the '95 Mortal Kombat is like a camp classic. But it was like early enough in CG history that the CG is not great. You know, like you didn't really get to see Mortal Kombat characters doing cool Mortal Kombat stuff in that movie that much because like the effects were not really there. Right. So like that seems like maybe the potential for this movie to be cool.
Yeah.
There's a fully CG character that turns up later who looks a little bit rough, but I feel like the like effects that they film around, like it's a well produced movie in that respect, but some of the like a lot of the shots are flat and a lot of the editing's a bit hit or miss, but the VFX stuff I think was pretty sharp across the board. All that like the when Sub-Zero turns up on Earth for the first time, like I think they handled that in a really cool, interesting way. Like it was a cool setup, cool time of day, like nice effect. I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's neat, but at the same time, it just it leaves a lot of stuff on the table, but not necessarily in a I can't wait for the sequel. It's like Shang Tsung is in it and largely wasted. It's just kind of
the original Shang Tsung.
I think so too.
I feel like they could have make up some CGI on the guy who'd have been fine.
Yeah. I don't think that guy that they got is especially great. But like the guy playing Raiden wasn't amazing. There's just a lot of very uneven performances across the whole thing.
Thoughts on Kano?
He was good.
He's fine. Like that's one of those things. Like I see a lot of people going like, "Oh my god, Kano is so over the top and great," and I'm like, "You guys should play the games because that's Kano. Like that's been the Kano character in the last 3 games. Like those story modes, I came away from it with like additional appreciation for the last 3 games story modes. You know, going like, man, I would have much rather have, well, maybe not, but like you could take those story modes and stretch it into a season of prestige television.
Sure.
And it would probably work. You would have to figure out the fights, and probably do some editing for sure. But I think that the games have such impressive story modes now that this thing just feels like a teaser for a sequel and not even or it feels like a trailer for an episode or like a season of television. Like it feels like something they just kind of shot on a lower budget than you think, and then went like, let's cut it down to movie length and put it out. Yeah. Like it feels like you said the editing was weird. Yeah, there's just something about the way the story flows or how little story there is or something that just feels very off.
Like if you were to explain like what happens, like it's a set of like introducing characters, introducing concepts, like the fact that they have this, what is it, arcana or something, you get like a power in your moment of need, you get a power, and then here's a new character, and now it's just a lot of stuff happening. There's no like real arc to much of it. I think the only arc in it is the use of an uppercut. It was like the only thing that was like previously talked about.
Yes.
That then later on, Dad, do the uppercut.
That's,
and that was the only like.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And they did the uppercut.
Yeah.
If I had to pick one iconic element from the Mortal Kombat franchise, it might be the uppercut. So.
It's got an uppercut. It's got sweeps. Like it's, the
bicycle kick.
A gigantic fire dragon. It's like shit happens.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Shit happens and it looks cool defines a lot of modern action filmmaking, I find. So
I think they did well with Kung Lao and Liu Kang, just in terms of just casting. Like it's a different type. It's a different Liu Kang than the Liu Kang you might expect as like the guy who canonically won Mortal Kombat. Like he's much more timid and just like, I was an orphan and then Raiden found me and I shoot fire. But like I like his look.
I liked Kung Lao a lot. I thought that was a funny way to present him, where he's very self-serious, but he's like, it is stupid. What does Kato say at one stage? Like, you can get loads of cool powers. Like maybe it's firepower, or maybe it's fucking frisbee hat.
Yeah.
It was good. It didn't. The moments where it didn't take itself seriously were cool, but then also like the opening 10 minutes and also sort of the final standoff almost feel like they're from a different movie, because they do 100%. Take themselves seriously and they're awesome. Yeah. They're like, those 2 fights were really good.
You're like, oh, that's where you spent the money.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Apparently the actor that plays Sub-Zero, like he works too fast doing martial arts that they had to tell him to slow down and like pull it back. It's like, you're doing too well. Pull it back. But like apparently came out, he also like is signed on to do at least 2-3 more movies. As Sub-Zero.
Okay. All right.
That guy's really cool.
Hey, man, if there's anything this movie taught me, it's that there is no such thing as game over. You can always come back.
Yeah. Well, I think they leave it in a place where, and so the actual Sub-Zero character arc goes in a lot of directions that, they can very easily bring him back as Smoke or as something else, which is what I think they will do.
Was he always Chinese?
Yes, except
according
for
to the song.
But then in Mortal Kombat 3, when dude was unmasked and looked a little bit like Henry Rollins, but that's technically his brother.
God, he did look like Henry Rollins.
Yeah. And so like the Sub-Zero from MK with this. So this Sub-Zero, I believe, is the Sub-Zero from Mortal Kombat 1. In Mortal Kombat 2, you're playing as the original Sub-Zero's younger brother, and then I believe he is also the one in 3, and that's why in Ultimate you unlock Classic Sub-Zero, which is
the original,
to be the original, but also
then the original dies.
The original becomes Smoke at some point, or Noob Saibot, or there's some Noob Smoke. Like they've done so much different stuff with the time travel and all this other stuff, winding it and unwinding it. That yes, he becomes mocap and meat at some point. But yes, traditionally, the Sub-Zero was Chinese and Scorpion was Japanese. That's kind of always been the thing. They did not they did not have Ed Boon deliver the line, and I think that's like of the things I would have liked them to do, maybe have that. But
Weird that he said the line.
Yeah.
Also, right? Given the
Well, sure, yes. If you think about it in terms of like he's a Japanese dude who died in like the 1600s or something like that, and has spent hundreds of years in hell, trapped,
angry,
angry and learning
hell.
English. Like, yeah, that's yeah, sure. I mean, also having Sub-Zero speak in English for the Lin Kuei at the end of that introductory sequence when the rest of that fight is subtitled is a little weird.
Oh yeah.
But you know, I think the games are better, both from a storytelling and effects and cinematic like perspective. Like the storylines in those last 3 games, I think are like vastly superior to this thing. But in terms of like, hey, if you had to make some Mortal Kombat fan fiction and pluck whatever elements you wanted and find a way to put yourself in the story as just a family man MMA fighter who's trying to get by, then you could do a lot worse.
It's a good way to burn 2 hours. I
had fun.
I went in with very low expectations and came out smiling.
All right, okay, that's an endorsement of sorts. Sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I would sign up to HBO Max for this or go to a cinema, but that's its own.
Oh, that's the position I was in because I don't have HBO Max, and I was all excited to watch this movie, and then I started seeing the impressions, and I was like, maybe it's not worth signing up for this service just to see this.
I almost pulled the trigger and watched this in a theater. I'm glad I didn't.
Is that's actually an option around here?
Yeah,
it is. Wow,
the Metreon is showing everything right now.
Wow.
That's the Metreon for you.
Yeah, I mean, I get HBO Max for free from my mobile provider because that's how corporate synergies work these days. But I don't know
some
that
good stuff on there. Yeah,
a lot of Sesame Street
on there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Elmo's talk show's on there.
Yeah. All the Adult Swim stuff is on there, I think. But yeah.
And Mortal Kombat.
Check it out. Check out Mortal Kombat. I think that also I think they're okay. Here's the okay. You want to know what actually makes me really mad about the Mortal Kombat movie? It's that they lean on that song from the original movie as like a orchestral theme throughout a lot of it.
Yeah.
In a way that's very much like, don't like that. That is not Mortal Kombat. That's some shit that is from this movie that was like fine, like you said, a campy kind of cult classic or whatever. But I feel like it's not to be leaned on in that way. Like I think that song
kind of missing.
It's not Mortal Kombat to me. It is some filmmakers and movie makers' interpretation of this is what Mortal Kombat needs, and I don't think it belongs anywhere close to the game or
I mean, that song is just kind of a cultural artifact, right? Because like that's kind of where techno, like early techno, was at in the mid '90s. You know, like it's just cheesy as fuck in a way that's very like of the era. You know,
well, you would love the credit sequence of this movie.
Yeah, so the end credits are a new version of that song.
Yeah, I've heard that. That's been going. That's been out for a week or two, and I guess I did not need that.
I love that.
Like, kind of
sure, let's do it. Like, what is Mortal Kombat today? Like, it's not. The cultural osmosis has turned it into a soup, and
fair.
You know, that song is in many people's minds wrongly.
Especially given the origins of Mortal Kombat itself. Like, it's just a complete, like a wholesale ripoff of Big Trouble in Little China and stuff like that. It's like,
right.
Sure. Yes.
Yeah.
Catch it on HBO Max. Whatever. We don't watch movies around here. We play video games. God damn it.
Yeah,
they're better. If Mortal Kombat proves anything, it's that video games are still better than movies. Fuck movies.
Hey, even video game studios are able to make better movies than movie makers. Out here winning fucking documentary Oscars.
Fucking Oscars.
That's right.
I enjoyed Godzilla. I just want to say that.
Oh,
that was a movie.
That's fair. Hey, man, do what you feel.
But what if you could play it?
I've played that game on the GameCube. It wasn't that great.
You're right. It's terrible.
I don't want to alarm anybody, but there's a new PlayStation 5 game coming out this week.
What?
A PlayStation 5 only game is coming out on Friday by the name of Returnal. Believe it or not.
Yeah.
I've played a decent amount of that.
Jeff, it looks good
as well. Yeah, Jan, you checked out me playing it for a bit.
Only for 45 minutes though.
Yes, exactly, precisely 45 minutes.
I have played it for a little bit more than 45 minutes, I can say.
Yes, so have I. But that was all we could show.
The Cooling Springs biome of Returnal
yes,
is...
the Cooling Springs level of Returnal seems pretty good. Can't say anything about the Retno. Actually, we can talk about the first 2 areas.
Okay, that's good because I've made it to Area 3. So
yes, nor have I. It's fairly challenging. They made a big budget roguelike. Like, we might as well just say that right off the bat. That is extremely what that game is.
Does it feel big budget?
No,
like, pretty much.
Yes,
well,
bigger
visually,
budget than
visually.
It's very nice.
Visually, it looks really good. Like, it's got nice cutscenes that are well rendered. Like, look and feel, big budget. Like, scope of the area you're exploring, maybe not so much. I guess that's probably, I'm guessing that's what Jeff's referring to.
Yeah.
Is that like the levels are sort of randomly assembled out of parts? Like, they're kind of like rooms. I mean, they're outdoor, but they are like prefab, like kind of arenas bolted together in sequence. But you'll start seeing those same arenas repeated in different patterns, like every time you die and restart. So,
and because
like,
it has a story,
yeah.
And because it has a story, you're kind of, you're going to see things in a set order, and find stuff the way that they intend for you to find it, which, you know, is fine. But yeah, it feels like a bunch of prefab rooms bolted together with like very distinct, like, here's a gun. And then 3 rooms later, here's this mystery house. And then 3, you know, like, there's just stuff like that kind of plopped through it, which is fine. But yeah, I think it ends up, I don't think it feels like a full-on big budget game. It feels like somewhere in the middle. It feels like that kind of B game-ish sort of territory, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it is well produced.
Which sounds more harsh than I mean it. Yeah, it is very well produced. I love the feel of it. Like, the movement, I think, is really great.
Yeah, it plays really well. Like, it's snappy. You've got a dash. Like, you've got straight up, like, it's more than even just like sort of some iframes on a Dark Souls roll. It's just straight up in the tutorial, like, hey, when you're dashing, you're invincible. Like, just dash through bullets, dash through everything. You know, hazards in the environment, just dash. Like, you will not take damage. Like, it's pretty generous with that stuff.
And you'll get a melee attack. You get a big sword that you can use to, like, eliminate projectiles that are heading your way. Like, so it's a bunch of, like, flowy, ghostly looking enemies that are shooting bullet hell looking patterns at you. So big balls of energy, and like, here's a big rectangle of bullets coming at you, or here's a stretched out line. And like, it's Housemarque, who made, you know, Super Stardust HD, Resogun, like Nex Machina. Like, they make, you know, like that style of arcade. I burst out laughing the first time. Like, an enemy in this like big elaborate third-person shooter just shot this like slow-moving like line of bullets coming at me in a fanning out sort of way. And like later on they'll be shooting like kind of big 2D grids of bullets at you, and you have to like kind of dodge through intervals and stuff. It's weird to see straight up bullet hell in a game like this.
But it works in 3D. It's not, because like depth is always a problem with that stuff, right?
I think so generally.
Yeah, I think so too. I think some of the enemy attacks, when I think about Housemarque as like having developed a lot of arcade style games, and the number of times they have written the words Eugene Jarvis in press releases and all that other stuff, like, there's a readability.
I think he worked on their last one, right? Nex Machina? Wasn't he actually involved in that game?
I believe that's the case. Yeah,
they just went right to the source.
Yeah. There's something about the readability of the enemies and when they're attacking, like especially the ones that will try to pounce on you or dash at you, that I found happening at a rate or happening in a way that, like, oh, I didn't even realize this thing was dashing at me until it was too late, because it's got all these weird tendrils coming off of it, and it's not super easy to read those attacks. But as I've played more of it, I've gotten more used to it. So it might just be a thing of like, hey, as you get more used to what these things look like, you will figure that stuff out. But initially that was like a big problem for me. But yeah, it's you see all those roguelike kind of procedurally generated routes in terms of like, it will tell you which doors are side doors and which doors are main doors on your mini map.
I love that.
So,
I love that. Yeah. I don't know if I've ever seen a game do that before, and now I want every game to do that. It's just like,
but like,
these are the behind rooms if you want to explore. If you just want to get to the end of this, just go to this door, because that's the story door.
Yeah, but like exploring the side routes, I feel like is maybe the most repetitive part, because they've come up with, at least in the first biome, you know, they're going to be different as you proceed, but like it feels like there's just a handful of different things of like, oh, I opened it up and there's 3 chests in here. Cool. Or I opened it up and there's some islands that have like lasers or some obstacle, some hazard pelting them. So I need to carefully jump across them and time my jumps to get to the other side and collect an object or something like that. And
that aspect of the game is the most conspicuously roguelike part of the game by far for me, because it's like, think back to like a Rogue Legacy. It's like, okay, here's the room where you have to get through this gauntlet without getting hit to open the treasure chest. Here's the room where you have to kill all the enemies, and then it'll give you this. Here's the room where you spin the wheel, and get a thing. You know what I mean? It's like every roguelike has their like half a dozen like side
challenge
rooms
room
just like,
thing.
Here's the type of
yes. It's like, oh, here's the type of room it spawned on this run for me. Now I can maybe get some cool item out of here. Like, it absolutely has that. It's like, it's like, here's the one with the 3 rooms with the malignant chests in it. Here's the one where you can pay 6 ether to do this thing,
I like the malignancy stuff.
That's an interesting mechanic.
Yeah, so you'll find chests that have or items in the world that'll have some chance of being malignant, and when you pick them up, that will trigger a debuff on you. Yeah, like you'll malfunction in some way, and you have to do so. You can pay some of your currency to cleanse it, but like it'll be like you're going to start taking fall damage until you melee kill 3 enemies, and so it's that trade off of like, I'm going to pick up this item. It has a chance, and it gives you like, it's a moderate chance, very high. Like, it'll tell you what the chance is roughly. And I'm going to take the risk to collect this item and hope that it's good. And if I get a malignancy, then it's like, okay, well, now I need to go collect 100 oubliettes or whatever to cleanse it. That's like, there's like 3 currencies, 2 currencies and keys actually. And I liked that aspect of it. I found myself just like rolling the dice every single time on those, because I wanted to have something else to do, especially like playing that first biome over and over again. Now I'm, kind of once you beat that boss, the pathway to the second biome stays open. So it's a much shorter route to get into this big, and it couldn't look more different. But at the same time, when you look at the mini map, you realize it's actually just the same style of thing, but it's this big, vast, open looking desert, but it's not as open as it actually looks. You're kind of still in these.
The first area has like a drabness to it that was kind of putting me off. Like, first of all, it looks incredibly like Prometheus to me. Like, I see everybody comparing it to Alien, but I think more specifically the architecture of like the ancient alien tombs and like the pop-up holographic displays and stuff really reminds me of Prometheus specifically. But like, that first area is so drab, it's so dark, there's not that much color in it, that I was just like, this game like technically looks nice, but it's not really wowing me creatively. But then you get to that second area, and what is it called? The Crimson Wasteland or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's right. Crimson Wastes, maybe.
Yeah, and it's just this giant open like desert of red sand with like this giant mountain off in the distance, and it's got the enemies are totally different. Like, the look is totally different. So like, there is some variety in there for sure. But you're right. Like, it's not like a desert you can actually explore. It is still like you're going in a straight line right toward a thing.
Yep. Yeah.
Outside of the obviously opening up the second area and having a shorter path to it, is there much like progression or character building outside, or do you always restart from 0 at the start?
Let's see, I'm trying to think what carries over and what doesn't.
Ether carries over. There's some permanent unlocks, like you when you get your melee weapon, you'll keep that forever. There are certain things that are like feature unlocks that stay with you. The
ability to use teleporters is another one that carries over. But in runs, you have things that are leveling up, like weapon proficiency, and I think there's another one. There's a bunch of stuff that's resets to 0 at the beginning of every run, and like so like weapon proficiency, as you level that up, will determine the quality of the items, the weapons that are dropping, and stuff like that.
But there will be certain buffs on weapons that you'll find, and I think once you unlock those, they stay unlocked. So if when you pick up a pistol that might have armor piercing on it, it'll start at the 0%. By using the weapon, you'll fill that meter eventually. Once that unlocks, then that armor piercing will be unlocked on any future weapon that happens to have it. I don't know if it's necessarily all pistols so much as it's like if it has that property on it, the progression sticks. I'm not sure actually how that works.
I think that's right. There's a learning curve to all the mechanics. They definitely throw a lot of currencies and unlock types and like artifacts and like there's like 18 different things that you can unlock that are run specific or that are permanent, and it's a lot to take in at first.
Yeah, and then there's like a weird alien vending machine at the beginning that I think your ether, which is the currency that carries over.
Yes.
When you get enough of it, the lights on that thing will fill up to a point, and it will dispense an artifact at the start of your run. And so those are like perks, basically.
And I want to say once that's done, those are then added to the rotation, right? Like those are now unlocked in your,
they might show up randomly.
Library of items. I want to say that's definitely in there in some capacity. I forget if that's the place or not. That's the other super roguelike thing, though, of just like, hey, once you unlock this item here at this terminal, now it will potentially show up in your future runs. Like it's just the most mechanically familiar thing from that genre.
Totally. Yes. Like it is a fancy rogue light. And it's cool. I'm not sure how I feel about it being $70, but I do think it's cool.
Yes. I'm reluctant to like really pass judgment on it until I finish it and see how much is actually in there.
Totally. But like my early impressions of it are like, that's one of my worry points. But like it uses the controller really well. It does some cool stuff. So like you unlock an alt fire pretty early on, and they basically split the left trigger like a GameCube controller at that point, where if you pull it halfway, there's it'll stop halfway pulled, and that's how you aim down sights. And if you click in past that, then you will charge up your alt fire.
Oh, cool.
So it's like a little GameCube controller-y kind of thing.
I think it's kind of funny because that was the feature that the Ratchet developers were out there teasing like months ago with that controller of like, here's what what type of thing we're doing with these resistive controllers, and that game's out in like a month. But
I bet all those like studios were sharing all that stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
It might have come from that Team Asobi stuff. We just finished our documentary on Astro's Playroom, and they were talking about how they made like 30 different tech demos of like, this is a way you could use the DualSense, and they shared it with all the studios.
Yeah,
so I wonder if that was one of them or something.
It's cool to see that being enabled in like a mechanically relevant way and not just a feel kind of thing of like, oh, it's nice to have some tension when you pull a bow back or something. Like this is an actual feature being built into the trigger.
It ends up being weird though, because in a panicky situation where you're like, oh my God, I got to shoot, your propensity is to pull that trigger all the way. And then you're either going to fire off your alt fire when you don't mean to, or it's on recharge and you're just like, why am I not shooting? Like, I need to gently let this off halfway and now I can do it. Like that's a weird
I definitely
thing
have had that
in hectic
experience
situations.
multiple times. It's got, yes, for sure. It's got super generous auto aim, even when you're shooting from the hip, though. So depending on what kind of enemies you're fighting, you can just not aim down sights in a lot of cases, and you're totally fine. You can just run around shooting from the hip, kind of spraying all over the place, and it's fine.
Is the story stuff any good?
It's interesting. As far as I've gotten, the protagonist is the only like speaking actual character. There are a lot of dead aliens lying around and some like kind of codex-y artifact stuff to find, but it's a lot of her talking to herself. But she is aware of what's going on. Like she keeps finding her own dead body and like audio logs that she doesn't remember recording, and like a lot of weird kind of almost metaphysical stuff. It could be going somewhere interesting, or it could be totally like aimless. I'm really not sure.
Yeah, I'll say like the initial hooks of like, they've shown in the trailers, they've shown like, hey, why is there just a house here in the middle of nowhere? And I found the first one of those, and there's kind of just a little first person kind of story sequence that can happen up there. And it was intriguing, I guess. So it was enough to where I'm like, okay, that's, I'm seeing why this astronaut is following this lady.
I'm curious about that stuff. I mean, I kind of feel like first person story sequence in creepy version of character's childhood home is maybe a bit trite.
Yeah, sure. Yes.
But they could be going somewhere interesting with that stuff. It seems cool.
That astronaut ended up saving me in the boss fight because it leaves behind
is that what gives you the respawn, like the one extra life?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And you after that sequence, there's a little astronaut trinket that you find, and that gives you a respawn when you die, which was very handy. Yes. Yes. Exactly.
That's the guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I also died on that first boss and needed that thing to get through it, which was great that I had it, because that was like the run when I got to the boss of that first area was probably pushing 2 hours or something.
Whoa,
like
really?
Hour and a half. Like it was pretty, I was exploring every nook and cranny trying to find better items and like unlock stuff. But like, yeah, it was a solid commitment. to get to that first boss?
Because you'll have unlocked the teleporters, and you'll have unlocked, and you may not. I think you get to a point, especially if you're rerunning that, where you're like, I don't need to do the side stuff. Like that stuff might not be like, this is a weapon I feel okay about, and I know I'm not going to find anything too crazy in the side stuff here in the first area, so you can kind of beeline it to the boss. There's a lot of busy work in terms of like, how do I open these doors? And then you have to go off to the side area and get it, and then warp back, and now you can open that door and go down this way. Whereas on a subsequent run, that door is just open, so you just run that way instead. You can explore and try to hopefully find more currency or more whatever, but you don't really need to. So I think that 2.5 hour count will be like a good solid run through that area without dying.
Can you save mid-run or anything?
No. That's the other thing, is they are very upfront. Like the second you boot that game up, they're like, hey, this game does not save mid-run. Every time you close the game, you will be restarted at the hub at the beginning of a run again. All non-permanent progress will be lost. Use the PlayStation 5's rest mode if you want to suspend the game in the middle of a run. And I'm like,
use at your
based on my experience suspending games in rest mode, how about I just sit here until like way later than I want to stay up finishing this run because I'm afraid to put it in rest. So yeah, that is questionable. I do wish it had a save mid-run feature, but nope.
But are you talking like an hour, maybe an hour 90 to kind of get to that first boss? Is that what it feels like?
Something like that. It was probably like 90 minutes, something like that. Yeah,
all right.
Is what it took me the first time. Yeah. It seems cool. I am looking forward to seeing the rest of it. Yes, the price maybe is a consideration depending on how it plays out, but I also think it's going to get a big lift, just like Outriders did, from the fact that there's not a lot else coming out right now. I think there will be a lot of eyeballs on it, but it seems cool. Jan,
yes. Which thing?
NieR?
Is there a Teletubbies game out this week?
NieR
Replicant version, I think I have it here. 1.22474487139, and then it keeps going on. Repeats math. I think it's a square root of pi. I don't know.
I'm gonna wait for a patch. That version number sounds too low to me.
Yeah, wait till it gets to 2.0. That'll probably be smoother. So NieR Replicant is a remake of a game of NieR Replicant that did not come out here in the US. I think here in the US we got NieR Gestalt.
Yes, I think that's right.
Yes.
And that is what I played through. And I remember watching all of the trailers leading up to this release and being very confused about where's the dad. Because the major differences between NieR Gestalt and NieR Replicant that came out in Japan is that the main protagonist that you play as, that is also named NieR, differs depending on the territory. In Replicant, you're playing as the brother of your ailing sister, Yona, but in NieR Gestalt, you're playing as the father. And I got really attached to that dad. You know, he seemed really gruff and kind of out of place in this weird anime world. But as far as I can tell, I don't think you can play as the dad at all. You're playing as the brother in this one. And NieR Replicant takes place, after the 5th ending of the first Drakengard. And several thousands or hundreds of years before NieR Automata.
Okay. I always knew there was like some spiritual connection between those games, but I did not realize that there was a straight up actual connection. That's what?
Yeah. Like a god falls from heaven or something, and then that brings magic to the world, I believe. And that's how we wind up in the world of NieR Replicant. So it's like a re-release of that original game, and they've done some type of work to it. They've tightened up the combat, because I remember in Gestalt specifically, it was an action RPG, much like NieR Automata is, but it was like there was like a lot of heft, and it was a little slow going back and forth like with the combat. But Toy Logic, who I think handled this, tightened it up to kind of make it feel more like Replicant or Automata. And as far as I can tell, and as far as I've researched, there aren't that many story differences between Gestalt and Replicant, other than the protagonist differing. And, you know, like, if you weren't into the occasional drab environments in Automata, this might turn you off. because sometimes the environments do straight up look like they're out of like a PS2 game, but they have done work to it to make it a little bit prettier and taking care of a couple quality of life type of deals. Across the board, I think everything is voice acted now. I remember in Gestalt, there was just like a lot of text boxes. Here, everyone is just firing off lines and jibber jabbering all the time. And yeah, like it's a remake of that and of that original game, and it's so weird because I guess when I played Gestalt, I didn't have the frame of reference that it would eventually become NieR Automata. And then after playing through NieR Automata several times, and building an attachment to those characters that you meet in Automata, it's wild to relive the game through Replicant and see that there's like a lot of shared characters and a lot of shared elements that kind of, I don't want to say make sense of Automata, but it puts another perspective of things. Like a beloved shopkeeper in Automata.
Oh, does he have the song?
He has a song. The music in
really?
this game, yes.
Oh my god,
the music in this game is amazing. If you were a fan of how the music was in Automata, then you will like. I almost have this game going on idle just so I can hear the music going off. Progress-wise, I'm about as far as Alex was in the quick look. So you team up with your anime companion Kaine, who is very brash. You also have a floating book with you that is cracking wise all the time.
Mm-hmm. Good.
And
it's a video game. Yeah. Okay,
yeah.
I get it. Yeah.
And
it
then,
takes two, right?
Yeah. Like with Automata, like how you could shoot little lasers out of your little drone. You can do that here, but out of a book because that's cool. And then you eventually like learn other spells or words with your book to alter the spells you can shoot out. Like at certain points during set pieces, your book was like, nah, you know what? Instead of shooting this dude, I'm just going to summon a giant fist and rip him apart. But like there's still parts of this game which I'm still confused that like now that years have progressed, maybe they could have adjusted some things. Like I don't think there was any in-universe explanation of why Kaine's outfit is basically just negligee. And they eventually get into her story and what she's all about. And I think Yoko Taro, in interviews post this game coming out, has justified why she wears what she wears.
Really?
Yeah, but
that's interesting because in the past he has been very blunt about why some of his female characters are very skimpily attired.
Yeah, and I mean, like, there's a moment where NieR, like the young brother you're playing as, switches up their outfit, and like they're more like, okay, you look decked out. You look like you're ready to take on like a giant Komodo dragon looking thing with like ball lasers coming out of his chin. That you would assume that maybe Kaine would also switch up their outfit, but nope. It's exactly how it was in the original game. I kind of missed the dynamic that the dad had with all the characters, but just listening to Kaine and Grimoire Vice, which is the talking book, crack wise with each other, is pretty good. The downside to this game is that, like, even though they've done a lot of work to fixing up the combat and adding in all this voice acting so you're not having to read through everything, they still kept a lot of the side quests. And I think NieR Gestalt and Replicant, the originals, came out in 2010. So there's like a lot of backtracking of like, all right, go get this fish, bring it to your sister, but before you can bring it to your sister, you got to learn how to fish, and then you got to talk to these like 12 people to learn where to even get the fish.
Can't do a fishing side quest if you don't learn how to fish. It's just
exactly.
Logic.
Yeah, exactly. You wouldn't even have your fishing rod. But there's like a lot of fetch quest stuff that I feel like could have just been eliminated. And, you know, some of the stuff is optional, but like that early bit of the game is a lot of going back and forth, and it's literally running back and forth. Because I don't remember if the original even had fast travel.
Huh? Yeah. I don't know. I feel like when I was playing NieR Automata, like I definitely was running around a whole lot. I mean, that game does have fast travel, but I found myself like, oh, it's actually maybe just like I have to run back to the fast travel point or just like keep going. And it just felt like there was a lot of running in that game as well.
I think I just ended up giving up on a lot of the side quests in that game because of all that.
Yeah. I'm still enjoying my time with it because like, you know, you're running into people or familiar names or whatever. It's just like the side quest stuff that's kind of putting me off. The combat feels really good, at least, and it does a thing with that Automata does, where like, all right, cool, it's a third-person action game, but now we're gonna shift the views. Now it's a 2D platformer, or now you're really teensy and you got to jump on these blocks. It's good. It's a full-price title. I don't think there is a native PS5 or next-gen or current-gen version of it. And I think even if you were to buy it for PS4 or play it on the PS5, I think it's locked at 30 frames.
Ooh.
And even
furrowed brow, consternation.
And I think the PC version is also still locked at 30.
What?
Light outrage.
Which, you know, if take it as you will. You know, the other weird thing, and I forget if Automata does this, in all the cutscenes, they have vague aspect ratio black bars on the top and bottom they're like slightly opaque. And I just wish, like, just make the decision. Just make them all the way or just get rid of them. Because I can't stand this, like, slight opacity bars fudging up the aspect ratio of, like, okay, this is going to be terrible to take a screenshot of like, what are we even doing here? But I guess it's Yoko Taro's vision.
Yeah, the original aspect ratio, so on and so forth. The original artistic vision.
This game was made to be played in IMAX. Come on.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what it is.
Yes. Cool. Yeah,
I think
it's nice to see that thing's been resurrected in a way that people might be a little more open to enjoying.
Yeah, I mean, players are at a very different place now than they were then, right? I mean, it's like, I think in terms of how anime they will get and how, you know, I mean, like there's
totally, yeah.
Speaking from experience, Jeff?
Maybe a little, but yeah, I think, you know, like the tastes of current players, I think, is different than it was 11 years ago, and it's cool that players get another crack at this especially after the success of the last game with NieR written on the box. Like, you know, why not? So I think that's kind of neat. And this game has like a zillion endings too, right? Like
yes.
Yeah.
And I think it also locks up the true ending, unless you've collected all the costumes and weapons. I believe so. I remember the second playthrough of Gestalt being not as radically different as playing through Automata the second time around, but it opened up some other avenues, let's say. And I don't know, maybe with some a DLC they'd patch in the dad, but I need the NieR dad. I liked him so much better than this brother, but the voice acting across the board is really good. It's really well done. I think the voice of NieR brother is the voice of Gaara from Naruto, so I like that a lot. You know, it appeals to me.
Yeah, there's something about it. So I don't know if it was a brand or if it was just like a generic term, but like, have any of you heard of the concept of NieR beer? It was like that was what non-alcoholic beer was called. Yeah, totally. Like in the, like probably before I was born or something. But like, there's something about when you say like NieR brother, like in my head somehow there's like, so like a fake, it was like, so it's not a real.
It's a teetotal brother, I think.
Right. Yes. Because my brain is broken, is what I'm getting at.
Hey, of course. Automata went a bunch of places, so Replicant has probably gone to those places where you could have a NieR brother.
Sure. Yeah.
You're all my NieR brothers.
Hey man, you can have whatever you want. It's anime.
Yes, it's very anime. If you have like an anime hole in your life that needs to be filled.
Okay, well,
you said I could have my fantasy world at the beginning of this podcast.
That's right. Hey man, anything goes around here.
Just gonna grease up and let you fill my anime hole.
Oh, speaking of greasing up, Danny, I appreciate your ongoing commitment to motorsports.
Yes, both near and far.
sports of the automotive variety, although I guess motorcycles are not automotive technically.
So like NieR Automotive, or
yes, that's the one.
NieR Automotive GP 21. That's the one.
All right.
Story mode, and it gets real weird. It's the latest in the motorcycle video game that I will never be able to be good at, because motorbike games are hard unless you're playing Motocross Madness and you can just like do whatever. Like a sim motorcycle game, it's just so hard. Cars, you got 4 wheels. You could oversteer and understeer. You know what I mean? You can have different types of grip. So if you overshoot the corner, you can quickly twist the wheel, or like make the analog stick go to the left and then find the right angle. Motorbikes are like rocket ships. You have to set your like thrust and angle, and if you're like midway through it to like find a new angle, it's just hard, right? You have to you can't just downshift. You have to there's a lot of like weight involved, and then it just kind of doesn't work with an analog stick so good. And then you add front and rear braking, which are different, and you have got a sort of I was talking to Drew earlier. I think it was like a tap your head and rub your belly kind of situation while you're also trying to get this rocket ship to go around a corner. So I have been really enjoying this, but I am terrible at it. I play sim F1 games pretty frequently, and this is just super tough. So it seems really well made. They actually do a good job of onboarding people. There's like a whole tutorial school thing at the start of this, which I believe wasn't in the past couple of versions of MotoGP. And the way that I have enjoyed playing it so far is basically dropping down to like Moto 3. So the, lowest CC bikes available, so they don't go as fast. So it's a little bit more manageable. So I've been enjoying learning how to do it, but it's like, if you just jump into quick race in one of these things, even with assists on, even with like auto braking on, it's motorcycle riding, as it turns out, is really hard.
In real life, F1's got to hold 2 extra wheels. Like, you're really working at a deficit here.
Yeah, I play those games religiously, but they can be hard, and they are hard, and you have to like change your mindset about how racing works when you do F1, because it's a whole different, you don't brake around corners. You brake on the straight and you turn in and you find your apex, and it's a different way. So it's kind of similar with this, where it's like I'm having to unlearn certain ways of attacking tracks, and it doesn't help that like the tracks that I'm the worst at are the ones that are F1 tracks as well, that F1 races on. So I'm racing like Circuit of the Americas, and I'm attacking the sector 1 a certain way, and I fly off. And what's cool is they have a system where if you fly off the bike, and it's gnarly. They have like really good ragdolls, and you can like collect other people. But they have a system where, for the first time, where you can run back to your bike, like road rash style, and then there's like an animation where it gets picked up again. But like,
I was hoping you were going to say there's like an aftertouch on the ragdoll when you go flying. You can kind of like sort of control your dude as he's flying around, like Burnout style.
No, they're a passenger to physics by that stage. But what's really annoying is that I had that thing turned on because I was like, that's pretty funny. And it happens in races, like in MotoGP, unless you've like broken the throttle or, damaged a part of the bike, they do tend to get back on their bikes and keep going. But the AI just transports. They're just like, they don't do that whole thing. They just, crash, they just like reappear. So it's like, there's no point in turning it on. You're setting yourself at like a massive disadvantage. But it's cool. It's well made. I would say to people, don't get it unless you are either good at these games already or you are willing to put the hours in.
Yeah, I think for me, the split is always like, if you've got front and rear brakes, I probably am out. Like when it comes to a motorcycle game, because it's just, you're right, that whole like figuring out, okay, how do I feather this into this to do that and make these turns? Like I've never gotten it. So I guess that's cool. It's got a good tutorial though.
Yeah, it's like I feel like I'm not good because I haven't put in the time. Whereas I've heard from other people, because I was sort of looking at the subreddit and stuff, that in previous versions they felt like lost, like they didn't know how to do anything. And at least the game does a good job of like onboarding people that way. It's a PS5. They have a PS5 version as well. It looks really good,
I was going to ask if it was a native next gen game.
Yeah, controller feels cool as well. Like upshifting on those things, it just feels like really sweet. And it looks super good and has commentary and stuff, and it's kind of it's good. Has all your favorite MotoGP riders, guys. I know you're a big
hell yeah
Dovizioso fan. It's got the
That's my
Daxter.
guy.
It's got Mark
So,
Marquez.
That's a Tom Brady of MotoGP, man.
He's literally.
It's got super
Literally
crazy. It's got Tajiri.
When they figured out he was deflating his tires, I just couldn't anymore.
My wife watches me watch MotoGP, and she's like, "None of these are real names." Like,
it's the mark of a true motorsport.
Exactly.
I think. All right, we've made it to our first break. Jan, we have an important update from you that we are going to get on the other side.
Oh, okay.
So stay tuned for that.
All right. I'll calm down.
Right after this, we'll be right back.
Wash your ass. You heard me. Wash your ass. With Tushy, it's now easy. Toilet paper, right? It's been around for a long time. It's gross. It's a mess. It's a disaster. Blah. What if you could use the cleansing power of water to wash your ass without having to jump in the shower? You know, what if it was just built into your toilet? Why would you wipe with dry toilet paper instead of washing with water? Well, look, the future of toileting has arrived. Whatever, like bidet stuff has been around forever, but it's a separate, who has room in their bathroom for a separate bidet? There's a better way now. The brand new Hello Tushy 3.0 modern bidet attachment is here to level the playing field. It's stylish, eco-friendly, easy to install, and affordable. You bolt it right on. It's super easy to install. You just bolt it right on. It's all this whole thing. Anyone can do it. I can do it. Hello Tushy 3.0 doesn't just cleanse your butt with a precise stream of fresh water. It cleans itself before and after it's used with the Smart Spray automatic self-cleaning nozzle. It attaches to your existing toilet. It doesn't even require electricity or additional plumbing. It'll cut your toilet paper use by 80%. So the Hello Tushy bidet pays for itself in just a few months. Because with Hello Tushy, you don't wipe it all. You just poop, spray, dry, and go. And sanitation is simple. They've got the Schmutz Shield, TM. That's how serious they are. It offers easy cleaning. The knobs are naturally antimicrobial. Wow. Plus, every Hello Tushy bidet attachment comes with a 60-day risk-free guarantee and a 12-month warranty. That's a full year. You already got one on your pot? All right, you can upgrade to the new 3.0 model. If you're new to the revolution, join the millions of happy Hello Tushy customers right now and have a clean butt with every flush. Wow. They sent one of these out. It's a toilet. You bolt it on. You just bolt it on and go. And then it goes. And then you go. Our listeners can go to hellotushy.com/bombcast for 10% off plus free shipping. Get 10% off plus free shipping and get your butt clean at hellotushy.com/bombcast. hellotushy.com/bombcast. It's for that ass.
Jan, as promised, I understand you have some updates from the wild, woolly world of Pokemon card collecting?
Yes. I want to keep it very brief, but my barber and I, we met up outside of a Target. They were going to open the floodgates for people at 8 o'clock. We thought 7 is a good time to get there. Get there at 7. And there's about 17, 19 people in front of us already. Okay. And then upon just hearing some chitter chatter, people brought chairs, people brought blankets and sleeping bags, but there were some people that got there as early as 1 a.m. to line up. And apparently this line is just like a huge funnel. It's not just Pokemon cards. Apparently the first 5 people in line were only in it to get sports cards. And
it's all cards though, is it?
It's
There's
all
no one
cards.
there who really wants toilet paper
or PS5.
No. And it was wild because I have no idea what's going on in the sports world of trading cards or whatever. But then this poor shift lead or manager from Target comes out and tells everyone hey guys, we're gonna funnel you in 15 at a time. It'll be a single file line. It's only one product per person, okay? So, like, if you want a booster pack, you can only get one. But if you want a tin, you can only get one. But you can get a booster pack and a tin. We got a lot of sports cards. We don't have that many Pokemon cards. We have a ton of Magic cards if you want them. Please buy the Magic cards. We also have a case of Yu-Gi-Oh cards. All right. We'll shuffle you in 15 at a time. So my barber and I...
Dude, I'm sorry, your target manager persona is oddly soothing to me.
He was nice finally, someone's in control here. Oh,
I don't know why.
But like everyone in line was actually like really nice and friendly. No one was like trying to bum rush the other person or whatever. But like there were definitely people in there that were trying to scalp stuff. Like one of the guys in front of me, as soon as he heard like they have a limited number of sports stuff, was like, well, I guess I'm buying Pokemon today. And my barber and I would get cut off before the first group of people, and this little kid, this 10-year-old, runs in and joins the line. And like this dude in front of my barber and I gets furious. And he starts talking to the target employee saying like, yo, that kid bum rushed the line. He didn't wait here. He wasn't with these people. And then as soon as our group gets let in, this grown man, and I realize I'm part of this problem because I am a grown man lining up for Pokemon cards.
But I bet you didn't do what this other grown man perhaps did. Go on.
He taps this 10-year-old on the shoulder and goes like, hey, we've been waiting for like hours. If you're actually going to try and buy these Pokemon cards, you have to do it the honest way. You have to line up, put in the work with these other people. And there was like maybe a 12-year-old behind my barber and I, and he was doing his homework in line. And like the guy like looks at him, and like, look at that kid. He was waiting this whole time. And then just continues to tell him off. And then in my head, I'm thinking like, okay, this kid is learning a lesson, but I don't know if he's going to take away the right lesson from this. Then a grown man is yelling at him.
Adults are punks.
Yeah. That being said, I bought a deck. I bought like some booster packs. I have a fucking problem. I got a tin, and then my barber was like, yo, I already got a tin, so I'm gonna buy you a tin.
Oh, yeah.
And then I didn't need to buy Yu-Gi-Oh cards, but I bought Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
Dude, whatever it takes to get by these days, man.
Yeah, you gotta convince more family members to come with you next time. It's like tins all around.
Target 7 a.m. Target sounds like a whole scene.
It's insane because it's like 5 minutes after us, there were like a group of 10 different people that lined up immediately after us, and like the poor Target manager was like, all right, I know you're only allowed to get one product, but if the line permits, you can go back in line. You can re-queue up. It's okay. Thanks, guys. Have a good day. Cool. All right. It was just so wild. It was so wild seeing all these different groups of people. Okay. I thought that was just my own life catching up with me.
No, sorry, that was the garbage truck out front.
Oh, it sounded like an airplane.
I was so silent for so long that the mic sensitivity just turned up, and it was like, all right, time to start playing this garbage truck noise.
I thought it was the end.
I thought the Pokemon airdrop was about to come in.
Yeah, they do that. The alarms at like the first Wednesday at noon, I think, in Oakland, and every time for like at least 2 seconds, I think the end of the world is happening.
Phew. I mean, it is happening because
that feeling.
My barber and I are planning to line up again this Friday for more stupid.
I mean, your barber sounds like a bro.
I mean, his name is also Jan, so you know.
Okay.
Well, okay. I mean, how can you say no then?
Yeah.
In for a penny, in for a pound when it comes to
this. That's right. Just keep those cards coming.
So are you opening those? Or are you selling? Like, what's the new?
I don't want to sell the cards because I feel like that part is scummy, and if I'm already adding to the problem, I don't want to further add to the problem. I'm buying them to collect them, and also in the future hopes to play with other people, maybe down the line if that ever happens. Maybe from 6 feet away, you know, we can play cards.
Maybe not. Maybe everybody's vaccinated. You can just do your thing.
Do it on Zoom
or that.
Yeah. But God, I opened a couple of them before UPF, and then it just like the realization that this could have been a complete waste of time and money just quickly dawning on me until I got the one good card, out of like 8 booster packs.
What you
That's how they get you.
I got a shiny full art Phalanx, baby.
Not a shiny.
Yep.
Full art.
Full art, baby. Giant Bomb's #1 new Pokemon of 2019, Phalanx. Oh, the boys were back in town, indeed.
That does sound nice. That does sound nice. I wonder what my target's doing.
Is it 7 or like 9 Roman guys with their shields up?
Almost. It's like 5 little Kirby's with like Centurion helmets. It's cute.
Wow. Okay.
It's mad cute.
First boss in Demon Souls.
One of the most hilarious sights, though, before we move on, is people bring their camp chairs and stuff. This one dude brought a like wooden kitchen chair, like not even folding up or anything. He just brought it out of his car, plopped it down, and it's like the elevated kind of kitchen chairs where your feet aren't quite touching the floor.
Oh yeah,
and he was just posted up on that.
Wow.
I was like, that does not seem comfortable, buddy.
Whatever it takes.
Only 2 people vaping in line.
The 10-year-old and who?
12-year-old.
The 12-year-old
and the guy who scolded him.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Of course.
Makes sense.
All right. Well, Godspeed to you on your next.
This is a cry for help. Someone please stop me.
That's
You should find something else to do with your Friday mornings. Like, what if you just went and got pancakes and brought them and ate them outside where it was safe? And
If the hotspot happened earlier, I think that would distract me from doing that. But pancakes is a good idea.
Cry for help, Jeff.
all right.
man. Self discipline has to come from within.
Oh, it's impossible.
We'll make some changes around here and figure out what we can do to prevent you from doing this to yourself.
He's actually got me on the. I forgot about this, but after it was last Friday, I think I bought a bunch of F1 cards. So
you get any shinies or
tomorrow.
full art?
You get a full art, whatever his name was.
Fennel, full art.
Yeah, Fennel. Yeah, I'll get a shiny Roman Grosjean. I guess I'll let you know next week. But yeah, I forgot I'd done that. I think alcohol might have been involved in the purchasing.
Did they make Formula E cards? I feel like Formula E cards would actually be shiny and do something like scan this with your phone, and then the guy driving the car, the suit manipulates his stuff, and he has a good time driving.
Boost.
Yes, fan boost.
No, Formula E's got its own problems. Last week they misinterpreted the amount of energy to take out of the cars during a safety car, and only 9 of the cars finished the race, which was very funny. They thought they had finished with 1 lap, and then they all ran out of usable battery. Like 14 drivers all went to the back and got disqualified. So that was pretty funny.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you get a pit crew with your F1 cards?
I hope so. I hope I get everyone. I hope I get team principals. I'd love a Gunter Steiner. I'll let you know if I get one.
God, I bet you would.
Yes.
Fingers crossed that you get that good pull.
Everybody wants that Steiner. I can tell you that. Okay. All right. That's enough cards for this week. Let's move into the news.
Let's make trading cards.
Wait, of what?
We did. We
That's true. I found mine.
Yeah.
I think there's been like multiple rounds of trading cards. There's the ones that Dave made, if that's what you're referring to.
That's what I was thinking of. And then
for a friend of the site, Aura Hack also made a pretty awesome round of trading cards that I found over the weekend as I've been cleaning up around here.
Yeah.
That were printed out.
And then League of Heels made trading cards back when PAX was a thing.
Right.
Oh. Ancient history.
Packs.
Yes, indeed. Indeed.
Card packs?
All right. Yes, card packs. Yeah. That's the one.
That's what it stands for.
I believe it's called PAX Tabletop, not card packs.
Give it time. Okay, let's get into the news for the week. Kind of a slight light news week. We got some stuff here, nothing super momentous, but let's get into what we got here. Just have to let the dramatic music finish before we read these extremely dramatic stories. Kind of got a weird Respawn block this week.
You're busy.
Like every day there is a new Respawn story popping up in the news, which maybe is appropriate because I feel like Respawn is rapidly becoming like half a VA. Is that an accurate perception? Like it's starting to feel like that period where like here's BioWare LA and here's BioWare Victory and like all of our studios are now called BioWare. Like it feels like we're getting back to that again.
I guess, but like these feel like they're starting new studios as opposed to rebranding existing studios as Respawn, right?
Yes,
so it's more of an outgrowth of that team instead of you guys are Respawn now. But I guess like because Zampella oversees more than just Respawn now.
Yes.
So
yes.
I guess it's a combo.
He has like head of EA, or he has got like that type of upward momentum like written all over him. Like,
yes, the Apex success seems to have really, and the Fallen Order, the Jedi Fallen Order success. Like,
I mean, dude, look at his resume, like for his entire career. It's like,
sure, like they, but even just since they came to EA, you know, like Titanfall, critically acclaimed, but not like a huge hit. But like Apex and the Star Wars game, like they are doing it, they are delivering.
Yeah. And Titanfall, I mean, that's a failure of marketing. I think that's a failure of positioning and marketing when you look at Titanfall 2 and what that game could have been numbers wise. I think.
Well, hey, I guess all they needed to do was launch an Apex season with a Titanfall 2 tie-in to get people playing Titanfall 2.
Right.
I don't know if, like Titanfall, apparently, like they just hit their like all-time high record numbers for concurrence in Titanfall 2 on Steam.
Oh,
off the back of this.
There's so much positive sentiment as well behind it. It's one of those games where, like, when people mention it, they're like, "Oh, I've always been meaning to. I've heard those." You know,
to this day, I think somebody wrote into the podcast this week. Like, to this day, every time somebody picks up Titanfall 2 for the first time, they're like, "Oh, Titanfall 2 is very good. Who knew?"
Just a great fucking campaign and a really fun multiplayer game. Like, with it now as people playing it, but the problem you run into there is that, well, maybe it's different now if you're saying it's reaching high points of concurrence. Like,
I mean, that's on
more
Steam,
new players playing it, right? Yeah.
Remember, it came out on Origin years ago. Like, this is just sort of the Steam numbers have been what they are years after release. Like, it's not a huge number, but it's, it's not nothing. Gosh, I'm trying to decide which one to start with. I mean, so they've been detailing that new season with season 9. I want to say, is that right? In Apex?
8 or 9, yes. I think 9 sounds right. Yeah, they're up there somewhere.
The new season coming up. They are adding a permanent 3v3 team deathmatch mode to Apex on smaller maps, and it sounds a lot like kind of a Valorant or a Counter-Strike situation.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like less like traditional team deathmatch and more like it's got a buy phase and
yes, like it's a round-based thing. Yes, it's a round-based thing where you buy weapons at the beginning of each round, and like your powers have like limited numbers of uses. Kind of like Valorant, maybe. But it's going to ship with like a bunch of maps. Like, some of the maps sound like they are derived from existing like the Battle Royale maps, but some of them sound like they're new.
Cool.
It's like it's like a totally different direction for Apex from what it has been so far. Hey, look,
play it again.
If Fortnite can do what Fortnite did when they pivoted into Battle Royale, then hey, why not?
I mean, they've been teasing this stuff for a while with like, they've been saying like, hey, there's going to be more Titanfall ties in Apex soon, and like, sure enough, this new character is descended from somebody from Titanfall 2, who I don't remember.
Yeah, one of the boss characters, right?
Yeah, it's gosh, I had it in front of me here. I may have lost that detail. It's like one of the mercs, right?
Yeah,
from the merc posse.
Yeah, Valkyrie is the new character.
Valkyrie is the new character who is like the daughter of a character from 2. But this sounds cool. Like, I haven't played Apex besides that Switch port in quite a while, but I might actually like the gun feel in that game, all the kit, the tech, the powers and all that stuff, like top notch. Like,
it's a great feeling game. Like, I'm usually not into the kind of round based Valorant and Counter-Strike style of play, or like the games with a buy phase, basically. But I like Apex a lot, and a shorter version of that's like a little tighter. That sounds super fun. I would check that out for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, I come from the opposite side, where I'm like, I eat up round based games, and Apex was fun when I played it, but it just PUBG is the only one of those that I've really properly dove into. But like, this round is, I'll definitely give this a go, especially at the start when everyone sucks at it. Nobody knows the maps yet.
That's the time.
Right.
It sounds very small scale. Like 3v3 sounds like a pretty small player count for this type of game, which is kind of appealing. I definitely want to check this out. That is launching, what is it, week after next, I want to say.
Have they said if there's rezzing in it? Like, because that would be one way.
You can get people up, but you cannot call in respawns, I believe.
Yeah, it sounds like it's like a very limited subset of the mechanics from the Battle Royale mode. Like it's not pulling every single element from there. It sounds cool. It's nice to see them taking that game in a new direction because I definitely have fallen off of it. But that wasn't even the really the main Respawn news I was going to start with. They're kind of out there. They're starting to recruit for a new IP. Like they're working on Apex, obviously taking that in a bunch of new directions. They've all but said that a sequel to that Star Wars game is coming, but they are now actually out there also. And I think they've been teasing this for a while that they have a new IP in the works, but they are actually posting kind of job listings now.
And also presumably not so that's not Titanfall. This is a
probably not. So this made me think back to like when I got invited down to see Apex and didn't know what it was a couple years ago. I'm trying to. I should straight up go pull that email up if our corporate retention policy hasn't deleted it already and see if they were pitching that as a new IP. I want to say that they did pitch that as like new property from Respawn or something like that. Which I guess technically I guess it is, but it's like, it's so tied into Titanfall that's kind of like
I remember they were pretty out there doing that because I think the worry was that there was already so much mixed messages over what a Titanfall was because the first game was like a multiplayer single and then the second one was like a campaign and then so they were as far as I remember back then they wanted to cut ties, but like presumably if they were going to do a Titanfall 3 they wouldn't be saying new IP.
Yes, definitely. If anything, if it's related to Titanfall, it's going to be a tangential thing, right? I mean.
Yeah, that would make sense.
This job listing from one of Respawn's design directors I'm looking at on Twitter straight up says a compact incubation team currently developing a brand new IP is what they are pitching people to join.
Okay, so it's early.
But the very first bullet point under why join us is pioneer new ways to enable, quote, adventuring until the heat death of the universe, which just immediately sounds like
Jesus Christ.
Immediately sounds like endless service game to me of some kind. Right?
Sure.
Are they saying thematically, or are they saying like this is how bad we want this game to succeed?
I don't know. That's kind of the only detail in this list that really sounds relevant to the game itself. A lot more, the rest of it is a lot more about like work-life balance and crunch policies and
right.
Focus on gameplay and game feel and stuff like that. But like that's the one detail that could kind of give you some indication of where this is going.
Or they know that the press picks up on this stuff and they're just messing with us.
Or yes, they know that people talk about news on podcasts, and here we are. But yeah, I don't know what that. I mean, I also would not have expected them to make a single player Star Wars third person action game that's kind of like Dark Souls. So not a clue what this could be.
I wonder if this is a signal to where they are with Apex. If they, if they've been in live production with this game for a long time, but like maybe they don't see another big beat happening in Apex in the not too distant future. So this is, perhaps what they're like skunkworksing something that team proper goes on to. I don't know. But.
Yeah, well, I think the live stuff got handed off to the Vancouver studio.
It did? Okay.
If I remember correctly. But when they spun up a new branch, it was to kind of hand Apex over so that they could start to focus on what's next. So I assume this is a lot of that core team, or I guess it's a small incubation teams, but it's something that core team will eventually work on.
Right. Yeah, because you'd have a lot of artists and level designers and stuff that would ramp up once they know exactly what they're making.
So Heat Death of the Universe. So it's set in the Titanfall universe, but it's No Man's Sky. How about that?
Okay. Sure.
Okay.
Nailed it. Done.
No Man's Sky could use grappling hooks.
It's true. And wall running.
It's probably coming in an update. I think they've got 150 updates for that game coming out.
If you can imagine it, it will be in No Man's Sky sooner or later.
No Man's Sky has the energy of like a repentant husband who like caught cheating on his wife 2 years ago and has been like overdoing it with presence ever since. It's like, it's okay, we're cool now. Sean, take a break.
So you
did it. You did it.
You can sleep. It's okay. Last little tidbit about Respawn. I guess I should have been showing them due respect and calling them Academy Award winners Respawn throughout this segment. The documentary short Colette that shipped with that Medal of Honor VR game last year won an Oscar a couple nights ago.
Weird sentence.
I know, right? I guess it's technically correct to say that the filmmakers won the Oscar, right? I think the game was just the delivery mechanism for short.
Or that where they, I mean, them technically makes them the producers or something like that, right?
Right. Yes, but people at Respawn and also Oculus, to be fair, are now at least tangentially involved with an Oscar-winning film of sorts. So congratulations to them.
Is Respawn's funding documentaries? I gotta call up Vince Zampella. And they're winning
Get
Oscars?
some of that. Get some of that.
That's right. Some money out there for sure.
Jeez.
Yeah. Neat, weird little thing for sure.
Yeah. Have you guys seen it? I haven't seen it. It's like 25
no,
minutes or something.
it is all on YouTube. No. Yeah, it's about a 92-year-old surviving member of the French Resistance from Nazi occupation in World War II. I would really like to watch that.
Yeah.
It sounds pretty intriguing. Perhaps less intriguing. I don't know. You tell me. David Hayter. The one-time voice of Solid Snake is out there saying he is hearing behind the scenes that another remake of Metal Gear Solid is inbound.
That he is not involved in, presumably?
Because of course he would say that? I don't know. I mean, the way he's pitching it, it sounds like it's way too early to say whether he would be involved or not.
Yeah, this Video Games Chronicle story has the quote from Hayter as saying, "I thought it was just a rumor until the day before yesterday when I got a text from one of the insiders saying they heard it might really be happening."
An insider.
So yeah, even he is like, it's a rumor, or even he is not necessarily, or that it might not be a rumor, but it might happen. Like he doesn't sound like he actually knows what this is or is a part of it per se.
Right. And also, again, the guy who kind of got unceremoniously shoved out of this franchise at a point by its creator might have a vested interest in talking like it's coming back in a way that might include him. I don't know. But this does tie into previous reporting about Konami potentially shopping its IPs around to external studios to actually get some of these games made again. I mean, like these rumors about a new Silent Hill game have been persistent for a very long time, right?
Right.
And there's just been a lot of previous talk that they have been looking to shop some of those IPs around.
Would you play a Blue Point Studios remake of Metal Gear Solid?
Sure.
Think about it.
Why not?
I'd
take a look at it.
Yeah, sure. Yes, that sounds weird enough. I'd take a look at it, but I mean, I don't know that I need any remake of Metal Gear Solid. I mean, they've done it. They did it once already.
Right. So that's kind of the weird thing is like, does this just end up being a remake of Twin Snakes in some strange way?
Like Hayter actually already says, like he basically says like he thinks the recordings from the original game are probably too low quality to reuse, but that they did re-record the entire game for Twin Snakes. So like that work has already been done twice. So like Twin Snakes already felt a little bit superfluous. I think
Silicon Knights.
Yep.
Yes, I think that. Yes, that's right.
Yeah,
maybe Dennis Dyack is holding on to the tapes. He's not gonna.
He's holding on to a lot of things.
Fund 2 Human 2, or I burn the tapes.
Yeah. Yes, indeed.
No, he's got it. He's out there. There's something else that he's working on.
Wait,
I want to play that game where David Hayter is creeping into Dennis Dyack's house, espionage style, try and get the tapes back.
I've got to get the tapes. Operation Intrude. Yeah, no, Dyack's name is on some game. Apocalypse is the name of the studio, and Dead House Sonata is the name of the game, according to this 2019 article I just dug up. I don't know whatever happened with that, but last time I looked it up, it was like they were selling founders packs and all this other stuff that made it sound like a servicey kind of free-to-play-ish sort of thing. But
Dead House Sonata sounds like a code word for Resident Evil 1.
Yeah, kind of.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, hey, Konami is confirmed to be participating in E3 2021, so
it's going to be that Olympics game that didn't come out.
Yeah, 9 more versions of Bomberman that are just all based on that same one that came to Switch and Stadia. And
oh yeah, disappointing.
Or more Sudoku.
Okay, sure.
Okay, all right.
Like, unironically, the best Konami game to come out in years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yes, it's better than Metal Gear Survive. It's better than that is the best.
That's
new
the only
Konami
other game.
Get some Sudoku, play it in the health club. It's the best place.
Yeah,
to play Sudoku. Let's see. Next up, we knew this was coming already, but Microsoft has pulled the trigger on relaxing the Xbox Live paid requirements around a bunch of free play multiplayer. And it's like a pretty decent list here out of the gate. It's certainly not everything out there, I think, but they put out a pretty big list of games that you can now play. Yes?
Oh, no, that's a long list.
Yes, it is. Big stuff on there, like Fortnite, Call of Duty Warzone, Destiny 2 is on there, Dauntless, a bunch of the kind of bigger current Smite free-to-play games. Also,
Star Trek Online, baby.
Yes, I was going to say, also, Star Trek Online.
Okay.
Crackdown 1 and 2.
Those games are not free, are they? That's weird.
I'm not entirely sure.
Famous free-to-play game, Crackdown.
Right. Yes. Oh, Apex.
It was free-to-play with Halo 3, wasn't it?
That might. Maybe.
Well, it was the Halo 3 demo. When you bought the Halo 3 demo, Crackdown came with it, right? That's
Yes. Roblox.
Killer Instinct.
Killer Instinct. It's a weird list. Hawken. I didn't know that he still existed.
I don't.
Sorry, go on, Hawken.
I installed Hawken on a PlayStation 5 for some reason. When we got those in, I was like, "Oh, that's Hawken." I remember liking Hawken.
Hawken was pretty cool for the first little bit there, and then
I mean, no other humans were playing it, so maybe I should get back in now and see if it.
I will give any of you $20 right now if you can tell me what cursed FOAD stands for.
Fuck off and die.
Close. Cuisine Royale 2nd Edition, Fulfillment of All Desires.
Of course. I would like all of my desires to be fulfilled.
Oh, that was like a really weird Battle Royale game that felt really shitty at the time and still felt really shitty. And I think there was like some spyware stuff going on with that game.
Cool. Apparently the game was first available as an April Fool's joke. So that's always a good start.
Yeah. It worked for Fighting Layer EX, sort of. Hey, Too Human is on this list. Great. Yes, finally.
Sure is. Sure is.
But so is Yaris. And,
I literally am just sitting here.
Course,
I'm just sitting here waiting to say the word Yaris so we can stop talking about this story, because where else do you go from Yaris?
Is that the Toyota Yaris game?
Yes, it is the Toyota Yaris XBLA.
Wow, that's so old. Wasn't that Xbox 360?
2007, yes. From 14 years ago, you can now play Yaris online for free.
Good. You got to go back and get those achievements. This is something that they should have done a long time ago, and having it come out as this like weird make good for them trying to change the price of Xbox Live Gold. Or is like a way for them to go like, oh, we need to get this message back. We've really screwed this up. Better late than never, I guess. But I don't know. There must be a ton of people out there that have Xboxes that don't have Xbox Live Gold. I just don't know that I know people in that. I feel like, and most people I know that play games are very serious about games, so of course they would have those accounts. So this is kind of like non-news to this. I've not seen people being stoked about this, but I'm sure there are cases where you've got kids and all this other stuff where there are situations where this makes a ton of sense. And Sony's been on this side of things, I think, for a while now. So
I think
they're matching
as well, right?
Yes.
Fortnite, you don't need Nintendo Switch Online, right? I believe.
Right.
I think that's right.
Yes.
But everything else, you need it.
Yeah. Still cool.
Yeah.
Yaris
needed to happen. Yaris. Do they even still manufacture Yarises? They can't, right?
Oh, I bet they don't. No way.
Okay, yes. Right here on Toyota.com. The title of the page is Toyota Yaris family is discontinued, but then the top of the actual webpage says the fun doesn't end here.
Go play the game. Available now.
Yeah, exactly. Click here to download game, and then click here to buy a used Yaris, I guess. I don't know.
Okay. That just happened last year. They just stopped making the Yaris. The 2020 model was the last year of the Yaris.
R.I.P. to the Yari.
Yeah. I can't believe that. I would figure that would have been a line of cars that made it 3 years, and then they're like, totally. All right, fuck a Yaris.
Wow, this game was co-developed by Backbone Emeryville, which was just Digital Extremes, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Hey, don't worry. If you're a current Yaris or Yaris hatchback owner, you'll still receive great service from your local Toyota service center.
Unless you need parts.
Now I want to interview people about Yaris. That seems like fun.
The exhaustive 12-hour. That'll win an Oscar, I bet. You could get
Respawn on board.
Yeah, exactly.
This is super easy for me to say because I don't have to actually execute on this plan, but you should totally do a Yaris documentary.
Yeah, that sounds fun. Maybe April Fool's next year.
That would be completely amazing. We've got a little more insight into the way that the Cyberpunk fiasco has played out for CD Projekt out of some more earnings messaging to their investors. They're talking a little bit about refund numbers that they have issued out of 13.7 million copies of Cyberpunk 2077 that they sold. CD Projekt itself issued only 30,000 refunds.
Wow.
So, again, to clarify, that is CD Projekt themselves issuing those refunds. That does not take Xbox and PlayStation refunds into account, because that would be the platform holders issuing those, and we don't have numbers for that. So I guess this would just be PC version. And maybe
or retailers, like retailer numbers. Like if you took a game back to a store, that might not count in this number. But
right. So this is just kind of one slice of the copies that they sold, but still, out of 13.7 million, that's a pretty low number.
You'd take it, wouldn't you?
Sure.
Yeah,
Why change anything if that game is the game you put out and you can come out and say, yeah, we sold 13.7 million. Hey.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wonder if the 13.7 million is adjusted for whatever other returns happened, or if that's just like sales out and let's ignore the part where some of that came off. But I can't imagine it was. Yeah.
I would assume it's just the big number.
Yeah, and also I would not assume that like even the refunds on like all in is some huge number either.
Sure. But I wonder how they even managed that, because they wouldn't have had like a refund system or refund department. Like I wonder who at the company had to do that.
Yeah, I don't know.
And I mean, that's a lot of requests. That's 30,000
totally.
people, right? Like,
totally. Like because this is investor focused, they did actually get into the nitty gritty of those details quite a bit. Like they straight up had to set up a program internally to handle all those refunds, and they say that they're not done processing all the requests yet because they're dealing with banking credit card systems in numerous countries, and that's a lot of logistics to handle. But that's a lot of fucking copies of Cyberpunk for the way that game ended up playing out. But I mean,
yeah.
You know, it's the conventional wisdom, though. Whenever something like this happens, it's kind of like the next game, right? It's kind of the next time out is when the blowback really manifests, if there is going to be one.
And also, you know, this is a game that they were probably counting on between this and like, you know, hey, the next gen versions and then the whatever multiplayer stuff they do, they're probably counting on it to have a much longer tail, and maybe that tail gets cut off early as well. I don't know. I still have my sealed PS4 copy over here that I bought the day that they pulled it off of PSN. Just is that worth $1,000 yet? Can I cash that in? Is it
shiny?
It's shiny because it's still sealed in plastic and there's a bit of a reflection.
Still counts, baby.
Great. Okay, great. So I'll take 10K.
Okay.
Starting bid.
How about one NFT?
Yeah.
Yes.
Make an NFT of me holding it.
Make it non-fungible. Maybe we can talk. This thought occurred to me as this stuff has been bubbling back up in the news. Do you think it is 100% guaranteed that game comes back to the PlayStation Store? Like, do you think there is a universe in which it just never comes back? That they never put it back on sale?
I bet when they put it out on PS5, it will return to the store. It's just a matter of like, will Will the PS4 version ever return? That I am less certain of, but they will certainly, by the time that is coming to PlayStation 5, they will have had whatever meetings they need to have to be like, hey, sorry about that shit. We got another version here. We've
right. Also, by nature of the hardware, it'll run a lot better than the PS4 one.
Exactly.
Like yes, that absolutely seems like the time for that to happen. But who knows when that will be? All right. Next story. I was not even going to mention this until Jeff brought it up before the show, but here we are.
It's the most important story here, Brad. I don't know what you're talking about.
Headline on PocketGamer.biz. Sega will launch its first NFTs in summer 2021. Go.
Related to its classic IP on top of that. So if you wanted like a further reason to feel really sad about it, this is something Sega's official account on Twitter in Japan got out and tweeted about. They're working with I guess it's a Japanese games company known as Double Jump Tokyo for this, according to this PocketGamer.biz story and the Sega announcement. And they are a studio that has made a blockchain video game and a platform for that called My Crypto Heroes. Who are your crypto heroes other than Satoshi?
I like Doge.
Fuck Doge. That guy's a dick.
I don't know, nobody. I can't even come up with a joke answer for this. Just nobody.
Yeah, man. This sucks.
Yeah.
This sucks. I think taking Sega's classic IPs and attempting to put them into this shit ass format, it cheapens every aspect of every side of this. It just seems like a mix of desperate and all this other stuff. It's very sad that they are engaging in this shit after a lot of the talk about this whole concept over the last handful of months here. It seemed like some of that had been kind of stamped down a little bit and you weren't hearing quite as much, but Sega is nothing if not perpetually just slightly late to the party with like, we're doing this thing. And you're like, oh guys, come on.
I was just about to say, if there was one other company that would do this, it would be Atari. To just really milk. And I didn't realize that's exact. That they have definitely gone down that route already.
That's what that weird console they're making is.
Oh yeah.
All right. Anyway, good job, Sega. Nobody in there had either the self-awareness or the authority to put a stop to this. Apparently.
Yeah. It's it sucks. It sucks.
Indeed. Speaking of sucks, Super Mario Maker 2's post-release support may have ended, but Super Mario Party, that'll live forever.
Yeah.
New modes are coming to Super Mario Party for the Nintendo Switch.
Yay!
What is it? Over 2 years since it came out, I believe.
2 years.
Is that right?
Cool.
Yeah.
Let me double check the release date just to make sure.
Where's this coming from?
Holy crap! That came out in 2018.
Oh,
yes,
a lifetime ago.
Yes, before you know it, it'll be 3 years, and yet.
Yeah. So is this them looking at like, well, there's a pandemic, so this game that we wanted people to get together and play can't be played. We better start work on this thing, and then it just took them forever. And they're putting it out here when maybe they meant to 6 months ago or more or something like that.
Or they delayed it for the same reason.
Right. Yeah. Or is this something they put together because they're like, people think Mario is dead. Let's make sure they know that motherfucker's dead. Put out a Mario Party update. Just throwing fucking dirt on the coffin, just laughing maniacally. Well,
hey, Partner Party is now playable over the internet. So,
oh, thank God. Yeah, I needed because I can't have all my friends over for a Mario Party. So what am I supposed to do?
You want to have?
But there's new mini games too, right?
Yeah.
Yes. If you want to play All Star Swingers in your Partner Party,
excuse me,
what?
Just drop your car keys. Go here. I'll take your coat. Please enjoy yourself. Be safe.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. The Fall.
Koopa Kid.
Yes.
Not going there.
Indeed. No, definitely not.
Thought about it.
Also, the online Mario-thon does not support the invite friend feature, just in case you're wondering.
What?
So, sorry.
I want a refund. Put me on the refund list. They've ripped me off yet again.
Contact CD Projekt Red for all of your Super Mario Party refund requests. They will be happy.
Yeah, send them there.
Handle. Yes.
Yeah, they've got a whole department for it now. I mean, hey.
I guess Shy Guy is kind of like a eyes wide shut. Oh, looking. Yeah. I think about it.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. All right. Last story. The Noid is coming back to video games
in NFT form.
Yo.
I mean, that would really... There's nothing that could make this story better and worse than that. Not getting his own game, he is going to appear in that new Crash Bandicoot mobile game that is out there as a boss, apparently, not as a playable character.
What?
The Noid is back? Apparently the Noid is back.
The Noid is back, and he's going into an infinite runner based on Crash Bandicoot that is only on mobile, which I feel like that's just a... Yep, okay. That's where we're at with in-game advertising at this point.
That's just a Mad Libs sentence at this point. I mean, have they been marketing the Noid again? Like, did I miss something? Is the Noid back in TV commercials? Like, what is happening?
It's been like 30 years.
Or, I mean, the Noid is right there from that era that also spawned Crash Bandicoot. So if they were trying to market to people nostalgic for that period of their life,
yeah,
I guess. I just like it if the Noid is not being brought back anywhere else, this seems even weirder to me. But
maybe this is just the first salvo.
Game?
It was an NES game, Yo Noid, but maybe there might have been a Noid game for Commodore.
Apparently, Avoid the Noid was the game on Commodore. Wait, really? Is that right?
Yeah, that's the one I would have seen. I never played it, but
yeah,
because the Noid wasn't on TV in Europe, I don't think. But I just remember the C64 thing.
So I guess they have been starting to use the Noid in ad campaigns starting this month. I always forget, and it is dark, so I won't necessarily get into it. But I always forget the darkness of the Noid ad campaign until I load up the Wikipedia page for the Noid and go, oh, right, there was a hostage situation around someone with the last name Noid who thought that the ad campaign was directed at him.
What?
Yeah, there's some background there.
Yeah, read up on that if you want to.
It's, let's just leave
it's a dark story.
Leave that to the viewer if desired. Anyway. Yeah.
Oh.
But yes, it sounds like Yo Noid on the NES was in fact the last game that the Noid appeared in, and fuck, I don't know. Here we are.
Yeah, why not? That's nostalgia is big right now, as it is always, and they're going to keep remarketing and keeps trying to slice up. Remember in the 90s when they brought back Jack for the Jack in the Box commercials with the whole thing that's like Jack's back, and then since he has gone away and come back yet again, and like all of everything, all of culture, be it advertising and marketing to all the properties from your youth, that stuff's just going to keep coming and going on cycles forever to dupe you into buying it until there's no room for anything new left. And I call it the metaverse.
Tell me more. Do you have a pitch deck I could look at by any chance?
Yeah, it's a thing here. It says blockchain, and then there's a bunch of dots, and then at the bottom it says the Noid is back in Fortnite. I don't know. Yeah, we're polishing up the deck, but I'll give you kind of an early soft pitch.
Okay, great.
Can I have Jack in the Box and David Hayter in a Yaris, please?
You could roll up to the Jack in the Box in a Yaris.
Yeah, that's the plot of Space Jam 3.
Look, the metaverse is a lot like anime. You can have whatever you want.
Yep.
Okay. Dennis Dyack and Natara.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
In Domino's Crash Course. What was that? Domino's
Doritos.
Doritos Cat Crash Course was kind of good.
But don't worry, we're working on a Doritos pizza over here at Domino's, and so we're re-releasing Doritos Crash Course with the Noid as a playable character, and we're very excited about it. I mean, this all ends with like the eventual joke, the constant like, hey man, it's got Mega Man and Triple H in it. Like eventually that's just going to happen. Someone's going to put those two in the same property. And
yeah, WWE is trying to make an anime right now. So
right.
Really?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Yes.
What? Yep.
Yeah. They have was it a Crunchyroll deal or
a Crunchyroll deal, I believe.
Yeah.
Is it going to have superstars in it, or is it like some unique thing?
I don't think they've said
the anime.
Right. Like a little slice of life of Paul Bearer just working as a mortician.
But as like a 5-year-old, or a 10-year-old, he's like his first job as a teenager, and he's I've turned up for my first day.
It's just the Louis Anderson cartoon, but with Paul Bearer in it instead of Louis Anderson.
This might be
I hated that cartoon, but I'll watch the Paul Bearer one then.
Yeah.
The word anime may have officially lost all meaning for me as of right now.
Great. Good.
Well, on that note, that's what we got for news. Let's take another quick break here and come back with some emails. We will see you on the other side.
It's getting close to being ready for us to finally start going back outside again and maybe even seeing some friends. It's springtime. The leaves are coming back on the trees. It's glorious. And no matter where your adventures take you, you can bring the comfort and style of Mack Weldon along for the ride. Your closet's going to thank you, whether it's their hoodies, polos, tees, active shorts. Everything in the Mack Weldon collection mixes and matches seamlessly to fit in with whatever trendy products you have. They got sweatpants. They sent over a pair of sweatpants, a couple of pairs of socks. Pretty comfy socks. They've got men's essentials, though, in every single category here. Socks, shirts, hoodies, underwear, polos, active shorts. Mack Weldon promises comfort and a consistent fit. Plus, they're versatile. You can look great and feel great. Working out, going to work, a date. Mack Weldon is for everyday life. And they use a wide range of customized fabrics that can keep up with you no matter what your day looks like. Some of these things have like, little bits of silver in them, like an antimicrobial kind of keep the stink away a little bit longer, kind of high-tech silver action, which is nice. They got a loyalty program. It's totally free. Level 1 gets you free shipping for life, and if you spend $200, you'll hit Level 2 and get 20% off every order for the next year. Mack Weldon wants you to be comfortable, so they got this guarantee. If you don't like your first pair of underwear, you can keep them, and they'll still refund you, no questions asked. If you want 20% off your first order, visit MackWeldon.com/bomb and enter the promo code BOMB. That's MackWeldon.com/bomb, promo code BOMB for 20% off. Mack Weldon, reinventing men's basics.
Emails, I've got some. Who wants to hear them?
Me.
I mean, he's
like
playing
to
the
hear a
jaunty
couple.
music. Okay, great. Well, you played the jaunty music, so we have to read them now. It's required by law.
Oh, unless I just hit the... All right, we're done. Bye, everyone.
All right.
Wow, Chan discovering a range of powers he did not know he had.
Get these Pokemon cards. Anything's possible.
Yo, I got them right here. No, I can't. I need to not look at them.
Break the seal.
Yes, indeed. All right, bombcast@giantbomb.com is the address to send your emails to in order to get them read on the show. Here's one from William. You guys are burying the lead. Sony shipped an Xbox Series X game before Microsoft did.
Yeah.
Harsh but fair, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess so.
I don't know what to say to that other than they're not wrong.
What's coming out? What's the first one going to be? What are we?
I think Halo, right?
Infinite, is that later this year? Right, that's late though, right? Probably.
They said 2021.
It's a great
right?
question. It's a great question.
I believe the wording was just 2021, right? It wasn't like spring. They didn't give a time frame. Just this year.
Have you guys anecdotally which console have been using more?
It's a good mix, but probably PS5.
Yeah. I think it's evened out a little bit more for me with Outriders coming out and with baseball being Well, I was playing that on Xbox, so I think it's been a little bit more even. But I think in the early going, I've been very interested in what the controller can do. So there were cases where I had a choice where I wanted to play a game, and I would go for the PS5 version to see if third parties were using the controller. And in a lot of cases, they weren't. So I think I eventually got over that, and I was like, I don't care.
Yes,
so I'll just play it wherever. Yeah, it'd be nice if they used it, but they're not. So, yeah.
Yes. I guess I'm probably about half and half. I mean, the nice thing to me is like this is I'm trying to think back. Like every generation that both of these companies have been involved in, I think this is probably the first time I don't really have a super strong preference one way or the other. Like it's kind of like, you know, whatever version of the game we can get our hands on first, like that's fine. It's going to look good and play fine on both. You know, like the PS5's got some growing pains it needs to continue going through, but like they're both fine. They're both good, you know?
Right. So people in chat are saying the Medium would be the first game, but Bloober Team is the publisher of record on that is a self-published game from the looks of things. So just to clear that up.
I never completed that. I played a bit more afterwards, and something else came around. I might get back to it. I'd forgotten about it, which probably doesn't say great things about how many people ended up playing that thing.
Yeah.
Chad also points out that Microsoft will be shipping a PS5 game relatively soon in Deathloop. So,
maybe did they just agree to some weird, hilarious pact? They're just like, this time, let's get fucking really crazy.
It's like TNA and the WWE.
Yes. Yeah, they've opened the forbidden door of console development.
They're all just sitting around chomping cigars in a back room and laughing and making deals. All the stuff goes, right?
Mm-hmm. Pretty much.
Yes. Let's see here. This email came in last night. This was totally a coincidence because we haven't talked about this. But Josh in Colorado, as has been established, you're either a Jack person or a Ratchet person. But is anyone a Sly person? Or is Sly Cooper neutral ground that both sides can agree on?
Sly is like too sly that they just are everywhere and you don't know.
That's right.
You're a Sly person and you don't even know. We're all Sly people.
That's right. There could be a Thievius Raccoonus right next to you and you wouldn't even know it.
Oh, man. I mean, I'm definitely a Ratchet person, but I do like Sly quite a bit as well. We can all agree on Sly Cooper. That guy's all right. And his turtle friend, whatever the hell that guy's name was.
Yeah, that guy.
I think I also totally blazed past all of these games. It just seemed like weird. There was like a fight for all of these things to be like the Sony mascot.
Right. There were so many damn cutesy mascot platformer type games on the PS2 that they all just canceled each other out.
Yeah. I'll just blend into one. I don't know which one. If I had to play one of the other, because I played a decent amount of Ratchet and Clank, especially the two most recent, or the most recent one. Well, if I had to pick between Sly Cooper and what was the other one? Can't even remember.
Jack and Daxter.
Jack and Daxter.
I bought that Jack collection on PS4 and played a little bit of the first one. I think it holds up okay. Like it's been a few years since I played it, but it's like a pretty decent, okay collectathon 3D platformer. It still looks pretty good. Honestly.
They did a Sly collection. I remember that being all right.
Yeah. I think Sly's different enough from Jack and Ratchet that I'd lean that way because
I didn't play Sly. What kind of game is it exactly?
It's like a stealth platformer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's also where that when Infamous did the thing where you could jump on the very pinpoint top of a building and magnetize to it, that is straight out of Sly Cooper.
Yes. Like I remember playing Infamous and being super impressed with it, and everybody was just like, it's like kind of Sly except like edgy superhero game instead of thieving raccoon. Yeah.
I am more interested now that I think that is the Ghosts of Tsushima developers who made that.
Huh. Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Yes. Some path they have been on for
That's
sure.
wild.
Yes. Burning question from Nick. What if The Witcher had a proton pack?
Wait,
probably
Geralt
still controlled
or the universe?
Poorly. I don't know. Let's say Geralt.
What's the proton pack do again?
It's the Ghostbusters gun.
It's the Ghostbusters tool of trade.
Okay, got it.
Yes.
Now I'm there. Okay, now I'm with you.
The backpack.
The proton pack is mostly pointless because it's for corralling ghosts so that you can get them in the trap. It's like just a long electric rope or something. It's not that.
What if you could put oils on the proton pack before you attacked, before you roped them? You know,
it's like an essential oils kind of thing. Like you need to heat them up and then they sort of permeate. And
I know this is going to be. You know, like a Necker or a drop. What would the ghosties? Whatever.
I was gonna say, does Witcher even deal with a lot of ghosts? I thought it's like a lot of werewolves and lizards and stuff.
Yeah, there's a couple. They have a special name for them, don't they? There's that lady in the tower. There's always a lady in a tower. There's always a lighthouse. This is spooky. Yeah, I play another Witcher game. They should make another Witcher game.
Hey, you're in luck. They're going to make another Witcher game.
And it'll have the Ghostbusters Proton Pack in it, apparently. You heard it here first.
Yes, that's right. Breaking news here every week.
And we call it the Metaverse.
I'd watch. What about, we flip it. How about Geralt is in like 1980s New York?
Okay. Right.
People think he's like the cowboy guy or something.
Exact same get up, right? Like he's not wearing modern clothes, right? Like full on Witcher gear.
And he's just
walks out of a weird tomb and then sees a car drive by and goes, oh!
Does that happen?
It's a Castlevania game that kind of... Doesn't Lords of Shadow have that?
Wasn't it Lords of Shadow 2?
Yeah,
or 1? I forget, it was 1 or 2. One of them ends with like a flash forward of like centuries. And is it Dracula or is it the Belmont? I forget who it is.
Belmont, I think.
I think it's just like wakes up in modern day New York, like stumbles out onto the street, and then like cut to credits or something like that.
BioShock Infinite had that too, when they were like, it was like a Return of the Jedi reference on a portaled into a alternative version of. And also, I don't want to spoil The Witcher 3 on anyone, but I'm pretty sure there was a portaling aspect of that game that at one stage showed like a cyberpunky looking area. I should look that up now that game came out and see.
Yeah, see what assets are actually in there if they use them. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. All right, next email is from David in Perth, Australia. Perth. Excuse me.
Down under.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yes. Excuse me. Over the last 2 years, I've been playing through every Dragon Quest game released in English. My current game is Dragon Quest Swords, a really janky first-person, on-rails, light gun style game where instead of shooting enemies jumping out at you, you find random encounters while walking along a predetermined route. And to defeat them, you have to wave the Wiimote around to emulate swinging your sword. What makes it interesting is that it's an RPG with leveling, gear, quests, and even a town that you can freely walk around in first person. On the other hand, it isn't fun to play. But it has triggered this part of my brain where now all I can think about is, what if light gun games didn't die out and instead continued to evolve? Where would they be now? I know VR is full of shooting gallery games, which I guess are similar, but the 3D immersion makes those something different in my mind. What do you all think? Could a cool light gun game be made in 2021? What would it be? Do you even like them?
Just do a point blank reboot, fun gun mini games and all that sort of stuff. But you wouldn't do it with a traditional gun controller. It would all be just the motion control stuff that everything else has. And even if you're counting into something different, like VR really is the best kind of way forward for that style of game.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, if I think of modern shooting. Yeah, exactly. That's Super Hot was the one. Just that pops into my head is like the way I felt about light gun games when I first played them. Like, this is magic and this is so cool, and I'm gonna hide behind my sofa and do this. Like, that was the way I felt when I played Super Hot VR. God.
I'm trying to think about the high points of the evolution of light gun games, and it's like
Time Crisis.
It's like Virtua Cop, where they reacted realistically where you shot them. Right, and it's putting Aerosmith in there. Like, that's pretty much what I can come up with. And then
Time Crisis foot pedal is good though.
Time Crisis with foot pedal for sure. Like, that's kind of it.
Could they work on like non-CRT screens? Do they?
There are a bunch. So those existing guns, no, not without replacing the guts probably. So there's a bunch of different efforts to try to better approximate light gun stuff on modern TVs. The one that I keep hearing about is the Sinden, which I think puts a thin white border around the image on your screen to tell the camera in the gun where positionally it is. And that is apparently pretty accurate, but I haven't used one. And so there's like a lot of stuff like that where they're basically like, hey, we're going to take this gun apart and we're going to put a webcam in here instead, and then use the lens of the webcam to figure out where we're pointing and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, getting the original guns to work on current TVs doesn't seem like it's something that is doable without massive modifications. So
I don't know, man. I feel like light guns kind of had their time.
It's a very arcadey thing. It's a very like I put in a quarter and did this thing for a while, and now I'm sated and I can move on and do something else. Typing, that's where it's at.
Yes,
exactly.
Absolutely.
Talk about proton packs. How about Dreamcast strapped to your back?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Give me a new Typing of the Dead. There are typing games on Steam that pop up now and again. None of them ever quite catch my attention when I look in on them.
Not enough quite
right. It's never quite what I want. But I appreciate that there is a category that is serving that need in the market.
Have any of you got isn't there a Dreamcast keyboard Typing of the Dead version or something?
Yes.
Or was that just a Dreamcast keyboard?
Did they do the whole like keyboard with like half a Dreamcast controller on either end thing? I forget. I know they did that for the GameCube, right?
I might be thinking of the GameCube.
No, that was GameCube. The Dreamcast control, the Dreamcast keyboard is just a keyboard that has a Dreamcast controller connector on it. Yeah. So
you could play Quake 3.
That's right.
That Dreamcast mouse felt
with the keyboard. Oh my god!
Yeah,
oh my
if you wanted to like feel really good about yourself, you got the broadband adapter, the mouse, and the keyboard for the Dreamcast.
Okay.
And then
I knew about the broadband adapter. I didn't know about the mouse and keyboard. That's just
you could just completely destroy everyone else.
That's that is a level of brutality that is just unnecessary.
Do you remember the story of how the Dreamcast Quake 3 worlds just descended into madness because the PC players figured out how to backhack into the Dreamcast servers? So they just like, and they could like have really long names as well because you could have like longer than 15 characters in your name. So they, with different colors and stuff. So they just destroyed.
That was built in out of the gate. They had server support, so it was a very specific build of Quake 3 on PC. That server software the Dreamcast could connect to that. So if you were just running a server of that version and you installed Quake 3 of that version, like it had crossplay more or less.
So mean.
And so that was kind of like a feature, not necessarily. Yeah. But then you're playing as people with a Dreamcast controller that doesn't even have 4 shoulder buttons. And just every aspect of that is, just a disaster. So you can play I believe you can play the Dreamcast version of Quake 3 on the internet now via an emulator. Like it's just is automatically configured to connect to a private server, and you can sort of do that if you want. It's weird, but doable.
I think I'll do that.
Yeah.
It sounds like a good time. I want a VMU minigame where I make, take care of a tiny orb. Feed it.
That's right. You've got to look after that eyeball with legs.
Yeah.
Orb
Make sure it blinks enough.
That's right. Quick question from Nate in Portland. I am currently eating 0-carb bread. What am I eating?
What are you eating? Is it meat?
That's not a thing.
That's
like dust. I don't know.
Is it made out of crickets, perhaps?
Cricket
flour,
carbs, maybe.
Hey, crickets probably have some carbs. Actually, now that you mention it, sawdust.
Having done keto and what is it called? Celiac. What do you call that? No gluten free.
Yes.
I don't know where I must have missed it. The Venn diagram of my knowledge of food doesn't involve bread with no carbohydrates in it. It sounds hellish.
It sounds like a scam.
Is it a burger? Are you eating a burger?
Yeah, is it just a big meat patty that you're like smearing butter on and going, ah, yes, nice slice of toast before bed?
This guy just found like a double down from KFC.
Yeah,
just ate the chicken patties.
Your bread is just made out of chicken skin.
Yeah, no, it might be. I don't know. There's like alternative flours out there. Maybe one of those is carb free. I don't know.
Sure.
Is almond flour carb free?
Might.
Could be. I don't know. Could you eat almonds when you're doing keto?
No, almonds were
perhaps
had
not
carbs. Then. Yeah.
Okay. Huh.
All nuts had some carbs, some more than others.
I know that
put
goes.
nuts in your mouth. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh. We call that carbo loading.
I've heard of it. There's a question from Matt in Miami. Danny might have some insight into this with all the talking to developers he has done. Despite listening for the last 6 or 8 years, I realized I still understand very little about the different corporate players in a game's lifecycle. Are there enough listeners like me to justify a brief discussion about the differences between developers, studios, producers, and publishers, etc.? Maybe it's similar to film and television, which I also know nothing about.
It's so different, right? It's like it depends on the era we're talking about as well, right? I could probably speak to how like modern studios are put together, but you know, back in the day when you guys were doing previews at GameSpot, it was probably a whole different setup.
Yeah, well, I mean, yes and no. I mean, there were definitely people publishing games that came from external developers. Like Midway would publish games that they were developing in-house, but also sometimes they would pick up a game from Japan and localize it and put it out.
Yeah. In my memory, like the meaning at least of publisher has been pretty static through time. Publisher generally is the company that puts up the money to get the game made, right? And often,
or like, and if you went far back enough into the like 90s and 80s, they were almost like record studios. They were kind of like looking for talent, you know, these sort of like garage, you know, one person like studios.
So they're the ones taking on the costs to manufacture the discs and get it into stores and the distribution and all that sort of stuff.
Back when that, especially when that was much more necessary, yes, they had manufacturing, distribution stuff. Also,
marketing, all that
marketing.
Stuff.
Not 100% of the time, but pretty damn close to it. They own the work. They would own the property, the IP, the game. Like occasionally, you get into deals with certain developers now where they might retain some ownership of their work, but the publisher generally would keep all of that once it was done.
It's interesting. We're doing a doc on Roller Coaster Tycoon at the moment, or the legacy of it, and it actually kind of covers like 30 years, right? Because the original game came out, and I guess maybe not that old, but like 99, 2000. And the guy who made it, the guy who programmed it by himself, Chris Sawyer, still owns the rights, but he basically, I think, lets Atari run all that. Like, but he owns them. But Atari basically like then publishes games that they get other development studios to make, right? Because Atari do they have any in-house? No, right? They're just like a brand now, basically. I think. I can't remember.
Yeah,
but before no one
truly knows what Atari is anymore.
Yeah, they're not. What was it? Infogrames, or there was a time where Atari was a bit of a different thing, and then before that, obviously, it was Atari. But yeah, whereas these days the publisher developer relationship seems a lot more set in stone, or like if it's not like a big company like Sony that has a bunch of studios and they're publishing the game and the studios are developing the games, then it's there tends to be a lot more long-term relationships these days. I feel like a bit more stability in that space, maybe because there's fewer publishers as well.
Yeah, and then you think about take a game like Borderlands or something, where Gearbox is an independent company that develops that game, and 2K is the company that has the rights to publish it, and so they each hold certain rights, and that's something that is negotiated and is different in a lot of different situations, but they each hold some rights over that property, as I understand it, and so Gearbox gets to call a lot more shots on that than even the traditional kind of publisher developer relationship, where it's in some cases it can even be like a work for hire, like, hey, we want this game, or you have as a developer have pitched this game to us, the publisher. We say yes, and you want this budget to make it. Here's that money. You've got milestones. We're going to check in with you every 6 months to make sure that it's coming along. and then we plan to ship it at this date and go. And then the publisher handles the public relations and all that other stuff along the way. The developer makes the damn game and puts it all out. And so
I was just thinking about like these days, a lot of studios would self-publish their games because the gateways to doing that, with so much being digital these days, you don't require the sort of pipelines and manufacturing so much. And I was just thinking about Supergiant. Of course, their Bastion, I think it was Warner who published that. They were shopping that game around. Whereas Hades, same studio, but and largely the same people. But 10 years later, they can self-publish that game because for the most part, it's a digital game. And I think they've done the physical version, but it's like a limited run type of situation. So, and then I think the word producer was mentioned. Producers, like in every industry, producer is the job people don't really understand. Producer is basically like a person who makes sure things are done on time and people have support within a team and that things are running well. Like, the liaising with different departments.
Yes, coordinator for different disciplines to come together, kind of thing.
Keeper of the schedule, spreadsheet stuff. But I think even that's even confusing to a certain extent because certain publishers will have different like definitions of producer. So like a producer at EA might do something different than a producer at Ubisoft or something like that. So even that stuff can sort of fluctuate. And you'll also have situations where a developer will have producers, but then on the other side, on the publisher side, they may have internal producers that are also kind of like working with the other producers on the other side to make sure everything's going to schedule and according to plan and all that sort of stuff. So that role, I think, can even be vastly different depending on where you are a producer.
I've also, this is just a gut feeling, but I've also always gotten the sense that producer in Japan is often somebody with a lot more creative control over the project. Whereas I think
over here
in Western studios, it's much more of a logistical role, I think. But you'll see, you'll see a lot of the like key creative names you'll see on games coming out of Japan are in a producer role there. So like, but that term is probably like the most fluid in this entire conversation, right?
Yeah, I think a good example of a Japanese one that comes to mind recently is Demon's Souls, right? Which was developed by Bluepoint, published by Sony. But the production was it was produced by Gavin Moore in Studio Japan, right? He was a producer on that, and they sort of ran because I think Bluepoint weren't the only studio who worked on it, right? There was like multiple because it's modern development and stuff distributed. So they were sort of like they're like the offensive coordinator of the situation or whatever. They're making sure everything's in its right place, but the developers ultimately are the ones doing that work.
Right. And I think some of the confusion attached to the word producer comes from the film industry, right? Where like, you can often have executive producers, especially in filmmaking, that are just either putting money into the project or just their prestige. If they're some big name, like their name is attached to the project and not actually really involved at all, other than that they've got money to throw around. So yeah, that has a lot of meanings for sure. All right, there you go. Let's see here. Question from Sean. Been thinking about controllers the past few days. Are we in a better place with the 4 face button layout compared to the old 6 button face layout? Would we be better off with a Genesis face button layout with triggers?
Yes. What if they just took these controllers and extended them out a little bit to put 6 buttons on the face?
Not the worst idea I have heard, honestly. I think I could be okay with that.
Does it get intimidating to new players or something?
It already is.
I think,
you're right.
I bet there's totally like focus group data or something showing that that's exactly the case.
Whereas if they hide them, like the analog sticks are buttons too, but we didn't fucking tell you that. It comes up later. Or like, I like the delineation of importance of like start and whatever box, the photo map, all that nonsense in the middle of these controls. I like at least like those are not gameplay buttons often. They're just kind of like their own. Mm-hmm.
I cannot get down with the terminology on those buttons changing generation to generation though now. Like,
I just want a controller that can very easily handle all generations of consoles, including like the Sega Saturn with its shoulder buttons plus 6 on the face. Like I just want a controller that can do that as well as everything else. So
yes. I mean, there's still the Street Fighter problem, right? Of having to map 2 of your attacks to the shoulder buttons, which is not great.
Yeah,
I mean, anyone stick though,
anyone taking it seriously uses a fight stick these days.
I know.
But I still I've gotten okay with a pad in those situations. But yes,
we don't have the combination buttons anymore, right? Because games used to do like A B, or if you hit 2 buttons at the same time within a then
not
it does something
much.
too, right? I'm trying
Once in a while.
you mean like in a fighting game context? Because there'll be shortcut buttons where
I think
okay,
Yakuza. Sorry, go ahead.
Like the Samurai Showdown is technically a 4-button game, but you get 6 attacks because A and B is your heavy and C and D are your heavy. So when they're doing that on other consoles, they will map the A and B and C and D shortcuts to different buttons on the controller to let you have dedicated buttons for those attacks if you so choose.
So it was more of a dependency on. It was more of a problem with certain controllers that didn't have enough buttons rather than
exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Maybe that's why
I
don't see it
say
anymore.
Yeah, I want to say the newest Yakuza makes you hit button combinations to activate special attacks.
Yep.
And
when the crabs come.
Yes, exactly. The crawfish. You got to unleash those crawfish. You got to hit. You got to hit A and X at the same time. I think the Shadow of Mordor games also did a lot of button combination stuff there. It does pop up here and there.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay. All right. A couple more emails real quick here. Travis and Fargo. He doesn't say which one. I bet there's a lot of Fargos out there. Like many people, I have a junk drawer. It holds a random assortment of items that are helpful to have on hand, like scissors, tape, a pocket knife, and a flint fire starter. My friend detests the idea of junk drawers, saying that they just give people an excuse to be disorganized. What is your junk drawer philosophy?
You need it.
You need one, right?
Yeah. You need to have a miscellaneous receptacle, right?
I need a drawer inside the house where I can keep my inside screwdrivers as opposed to my outside my garage screwdrivers.
Yeah. So yeah, my junk drawer has like rapidly morphed into a kind of task drawer since the pandemic started. Of like
where do you keep your flint?
I don't have any fire starting tools exactly. Not quite that primordial around here, but like nice screwdriver set, multimeter, soldering iron, roll of nanotape, roll of 3M dual lock, bunch of old man tool stuff like that in there.
Keep your batteries in there.
No, we have a separate spot for. We're kind of all in on rechargeable batteries though, so that's it's kind of a rotating drawer there.
Where's your measuring tape?
That floats around the house weirdly enough.
It always does. That's the
problem.
problem.
Why? That never gets put back. That's always just like wherever it got left.
That's why you keep it on your belt. As a clip for a reason.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Actually, anybody else with
if you don't have a junk drawer, you're like a psychopath. Like you need at least like not everyone can be fully organized, or you live on your own. And I remember that life where I knew where everything was because I was the person to put it there, and I'm the only person that matters. And then
your whole house is a junk drawer.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. I know where it is. Nothing's disorganized because I remember where I put it.
That's right. You've got a scheme. You've got a method.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you don't have a junk drawer, then you're, that's American.
Then you have a junk house.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or that. Yeah, it's one or the other.
Yes, for sure.
You need a drawer to keep your burner phones.
I do because I just leave them out. I got this one and I got these and
oh my god.
I still got this one here. Like it's just I gotta figure out a place to put these phones.
Kevin Gates has
a problem.
I
know, why do I also keep an assortment of old cell phones?
Oh my god! Look at that old ass iPhone,
dude. You want to talk about old?
Look at that! What is that? Oh my god!
Why do
I don't have it. I had it here until earlier today because my daughter plays with it now. But I have the burner phone we bought in Tokyo the year we bought phones at TGS instead of renting them, and now I've got that kicking around with no battery charger. Not that it would connect to anything anyway, but
is there something we could do with phones? They're nice screens. There must be something we can something cool you could do with a phone.
If you got a recent Android phone, you can root it and run all kinds of weird stuff on there.
Yeah.
The
worst thing you could also probably jailbreak a modern iPhone. So
yeah,
just have like a Half-Life 2 speed run going like looping.
I'll tell you.
Wall.
I'll tell you why I have all these phones. At least 2 of these, maybe more, are somewhere in the loop of I can't remember the passcode, and I've put it in so many times that it's like, all right, you got 3 more tries, and then we're wiping the phone. And I'm like, motherfucker, I really want to know what's on these phones. And what do I do? Like, I'm in this limbo where I really don't think I'm going to remember that passcode.
Smash them with a hammer.
Microwave it.
I think my chances of remembering that passcode are just about nil, but if I actually go for it, then that's it.
You're like that guy who has like 20 million in fucking Bitcoin who can't.
Oh my god! Did you see that article?
Yeah, isn't he just waiting until encryption breaking technology catches up or something? He's like, eventually the tech will be there that I can break into my own house.
Yeah, well, now you're in that staring contest of like watching the value of the currency drop while you wait for that to happen.
I was going to say, like, as computing power picks up, doesn't the chances of cryptocurrencies somehow becoming completely unraveled by some kind of unforeseen hack rendering all of those completely valueless anyway? Like, yeah,
he's just stuck in like a Sisyphean nightmare. Basically, it's just like it's terrible. That article. Ugh.
Yeah.
Got any Dogecoin on those phones, Brad?
I don't think. I guarantee these phones are older than that currency.
What about a picture of a dog?
Likely.
Okay.
But it's entirely possible. I mean, now you know why I want to get into those phones.
Yeah. Okay. This makes a lot more sense now.
Get those ringtones.
That's right. All right. Last couple here. Josh from Houston. Following up on our Teletubby discussion last week. I once saw a Facebook meme that was a picture that said, that was kind of your typical, remember the Teletubbies, baby, this is him all grown up. How do you feel? Or how old do you feel? The picture and the son was the one and only Drew Scanlon. Anyway, take care. Shout out to Jan from a fellow Ochoa.
What's up, buddy?
So I just... Thank you for letting us know that that's out there somewhere.
The truth revealed.
Finally, the world can know.
Yeah.
You think that was his first meme?
Yeah, he's been memeing the whole time. Who knew?
He's been doing this.
Think again.
You think this is a game?
Right. That's right.
I gotta find that and send it to Drew.
Yes.
You know what? I don't. Someone already has.
Yeah. He's aware, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. Last couple emails. I will keep them anonymous. Not that they're like that dastardly, but you know. I heard someone else tell a story last week.
Oh no! It's
about
not
scamming people online. It reflected mine, and a wave of guilt compelled me to send an email in myself. I too was first scammed. I don't know, man. This just happens sometimes. I too was first scammed on Neopets and then became the scammer.
No.
I created posts on the Trading Post claiming to be able to exchange millions of Neo points for a crappy item. People just needed to message me. Eventually, I'd coerce them into giving me their info and take their stuff. At one point, someone I scammed sent me a message without any emotion, simply asking, "Why do you scam people?" And it made me feel so bad, I gave him back his stuff and stopped scamming people. I hate scammers and hackers and all that, but now I will always have been one for as long as I live.
You need to see how the other side lives before you can really...
Yes. As an interesting side note, I also lied to a lady on Neopets about my age because I wanted a girlfriend. I gave her my number and she called up, and both myself and my mother answered on different phones. She could immediately tell I was 12 years old and figured out what had happened, and it was wildly awkward. Not sure what I was thinking. Neopets was weird.
How old was the person?
I don't. He just kind of conspicuously left that detail out.
Yep.
I'm glad people can confess their crimes to us.
Man, I missed out. Holy crap, dude! I thought Ultima Online was like the most brutal online game ever made. I didn't realize it was Neopets. Let's see. All right.
Yeah, move over, EVE Online.
Yes, indeed. All right, last one. Matt from Scotland. While I didn't run any scams in Neopets, I had my own system in vanilla World of Warcraft for fleecing high-level players of their hard-earned gold. I would create a burner character, run to Stormwind, and sell the starting gear for a small amount of copper. Then I would purchase a blacksmith's hammer and wrapping paper. Using the wrapping paper on the blacksmith's hammer would create a wrapped gift package that disguised the contents and could be opened by clicking on it. I would then search for level 60 players and pick one at random to send them the gift package with the in-game mail system. The essence of any good scam is making someone feel like they're getting away with something they shouldn't be. And so I would write a message implying that I was sending a rare item or material to a friend, possibly for their birthday, and let them think I had accidentally addressed it to the wrong person. Then I would attach the package and set the mail to cash on delivery for 60 gold, which was a sizable amount in those days. He's not kidding. Like 60 gold was a shit ton of money in original WoW. Like that was a lot of playing WoW.
Your first mount was 40, right?
40. So, it took a long time to get to 40 to get your first mount, and that was considered a lot. The scam had a success rate of about 70%. Sometimes I'd get an angry letter back from someone after they'd been duped or realized it was a scam. Once a well-meaning person even sent a kind letter informing me I'd sent it to the wrong person. No matter the result, I'd send my ill-gotten gains to my main character, delete the burner character, and repeat the whole process.
Wow.
Blizzard never considered this a punishable offense, as the process didn't involve any cheating or gambling, just legitimate game functions.
No. I had a buddy who was a GM, and he used to tell me all these stories, because they used to get people if, like, you know, if somebody was a guild master and decided just to be a dickhead and steal everything whenever, you know, at the end of a rage, like they would enforce that type of thing. They were pretty.
Maybe he
I think he just got away with it.
Lucked out with the GMs who were not in the know.
That's even better.
Yes. Blizzard eventually did put a stop to this practice by making gift packages unable to be sent cash on delivery.
Yeah. That's the Western Union scam, right? Basically, that's like
yeah, kind of. Yeah, I guess so.
Wow, man, this guy went to school. It's like a weirdly premeditated scam, like preying on people's good nature. It's just, man.
It's kind of a Robin Hood thing, though, right? It's like high level characters. It's like, sure, they've got everything they need.
Redistribute the wealth, man.
Yeah. We're all buying gold off these farmers anyway. None of us are.
Yeah, anybody who was level 60 that early in the game probably had it to spare. I don't know, but yeah.
I mean, what were you spending money on at that stage anyway? It was all drops, right? Like, what do you?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Even rarer amounts. I don't know. Yes.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Like most of those would have been soul bound in a way that. Yeah. Anyway,
you have to go to BlizzCon to get those.
That's right. That's right. All right, that does it for emails. Bombcast@giantbomb.com is the address. Send them there. And that brings us to the end of the show. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you, Danny.
Thank you for having me.
Pleasure. Thank you to Jeff's dump truck.
Yes, of course. How's life these days? How are you? How are things looking? I mean, state of the pandemic and your business being like pretty human interaction heavy. How are things
remote
looking for you?
Interviews? Turns out
still on the remote tip.
Yeah, well, we're starting now to have conversations about later in the year, and for the first time, I'm kind of doing the like. Do you think we'll be able? Like, are you guys going to be? Because we're thinking we may be. So I don't know. We'll see what ends up at the end of the year. But we've had to do a lot of like silly stuff. Like we did an interview with Tim Schafer, and then we played it back on a CRT and filmed the CRT just to because the interviews got annoying. You know, we did the same with the Astro thing. We just masked the interviewee into all the like PlayStation screens on the dock just to do something to.
Oh yeah.
You know, because people have like Zoom. They're done with Zoom. You know, it's just a bit much. So
yes,
you know.
Yeah, I feel like we're in this weird in between where like, you know, vaccination rates are climbing and like they're packing ballparks now and stuff like that. So,
I know.
Like,
I'm thinking about going to an A's game in 2 weeks' time because it's still the tickets are all like 6 feet apart from each other. They're all like you can only buy them in blocks. Yeah, it's really weird.
I mean, I think that's more than some stadiums are doing. I think.
Yeah, that's true. Well, that's true. Yeah, I mean, yeah. what was the UFC they had in
Florida,
Jacksonville over the weekend was just like packed to the rafters with people. So
Yep. One way or the other, people are going to start getting back together. Anyway, well, thanks again for being here as always. And we're going to call it a show. Yeah, stay tuned for more this week. We'll see you then.